Derek Overstreet, founder of the New Millennium Group. We're a financial planning firm. We have advisors standing by right now to take your call. 888-999-6370. The reason you're going to want to call is we're going to help you retire 3 to 5 years before you thought possible. The way we do this is by putting together a step-by-step plan. So if you're one of those people listening and you'd like a plan in writing, give us a call at 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370, or go to utahsfinancialplanner.com.
Only one type of burger. For every pallet. Fries are extra. Large in size. We've got the shakes. Going over the brim.
Hey, this is Chris from JCW's. Put a positive, delicious spin on your day at any one of our 5 locations. In Lehigh, American Fork, Provo, South Jordan, or Harriman. JCW's, quality and a lot of it.
You're locked on to Scotty G and Friends on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hey, it's a Friday. Let's get it, folks. Scott Gerard, our friend, Tim LaComb, joining us for all 3 hours. Coach, how the hell are you?
I am so good now that I'm in this chair.
Yes?
It's been a stressful week. I'm not going to lie. I'm moving, man. Moving's tough.
There is nothing worse. Now, when you get settled in and you got the new digs and it's home, it's awesome. But boy, moving, no bueno, man. No bueno at all.
I'm sure you know this, but what's come in handy for me was a decision I made a long time ago. I conned my wife into marrying me.
Yeah.
And she may be the most organized. Like, she's done it little shifts of shelving first, rugs, so she's kind of, I say, hey, man, you do you. I'm going to just be running around.
Yeah, I'll be the muscle.
Oh, there's no muscle here, my guy. I'm paying for that.
Oh, okay, smart. Okay,
I've muscled enough.
Yeah, good. Yeah, they that is money well spent. I mean, I remember the first time we did it and we hired the movers, and they're like, do you want us to pack? I'm like, no. I'll take care of all the packing. Everything's going to be in the boxes. Everything's going to be ready to go. But you just need to pick it up, put it in the truck, and we'll have a little label, what room to put it in, and just drop it off. That's all I want. And I got a little bit of a sticker shock when I saw the price, but I did it. And then afterwards, I'm like, worth every penny.
Yeah, and you don't think about that again.
Yeah. Nope.
Your stuff's there. And
I told them to hit up a certain somebody that's muscly and quite the mover.
Has a truck.
Oh, yeah.
I told them to hit somebody up, find out how good of a friend he really is.
I didn't want to bug him. I know he is running. He is corporate America ain't no joke now.
No, I know.
He's got himself into
he's got time for Tim, though, I bet.
He's got himself into a real job.
Yeah. No. That's our boy Hans is he's in it now.
And I don't mean to insult you two.
No. This is not a real job.
I got you.
Tim. No. You trust me.
It's not a real job.
You're preaching to the choir on that one.
It's not a real job that a lot of people would dig.
My kids say to me, so what do you actually do? Yes.
My son, he's like, hey, let's go fishing again tomorrow. And I'm like, well, no, look, I got to get prepped for work, and I had a funeral I had to go to. By the way, shout out to the Wood family. McKay Wood is a institution at Bountiful football games. Young man who's been a trainer there forever. You see him camped out at the 10-yard line. He's got a helmet. He's one of my favorite people on the planet. His father passed away, Vaughn, neighbors of ours. Vaughn, love you. The Wood family, our hearts go out to you. And so anyway, I was telling Brody, I'm like, we got to go to the funeral tomorrow. And he's like, well, we can go afterwards. I'm like, I've got a show. He's like, you don't go to work until 11:30. Work doesn't even begin for you until 11:30. And I'm like, I'm still working on a show. And he's like, I don't think Lloyd thinks so.
I think I have an idea that you could actually, dude, you could actually kill 2 birds with one stone, okay? Let's go with me here.
Yeah.
And you have to sign off because you're in charge of everything. But Brody Cam, get him some glasses.
Yeah.
And just remote yourself out at the creek.
Yeah.
And have him kind of be the visual part of the show, and then you can just talk while you're fishing.
That's not a bad idea. Lloyd, I think we're down for that.
Brody Cam.
Yeah, and brought to you by our good friends at Rocky Mountain Outfitters
with the Ray-Ban glasses.
Yeah. Are you interested in getting those at all?
Not for the reasons people would. I wouldn't mind it just journal. with them. You know, go on walks
Your
and
hikes,
talk.
your
yeah,
hikes
exactly.
that you go on.
Right.
Yes.
And just so I always think now, I'm old enough to think, like, what am I going to leave behind? I just want to I want to give some wisdom. So that would be a way I don't have to sit down and type it.
Yeah, that's a
So
good idea.
for that reason, maybe something like that. But I wouldn't want them for, hey, look where I am and who I'm hanging out with. Yeah.
Taking a walk down the streets of Philadelphia.
Or I'm not on another sideline trying to snoop either.
Oh, yeah.
Looking across. He was like one of the first dudes that broke him out.
Connor Stallions.
Stallions.
By the way, have you seen that documentary?
I actually have not seen it.
You need to watch that because I actually came away with that a fan of that kid.
Really?
The amount of work and detail that he put into that. Hey, every penny that Jim Harbaugh allegedly did not give him, he earned all of it. Like, that kid had a system. He was brilliant in how he put it together.
And I'll tell you this, too. Michigan gets all of the hate for it. But if it was going on with one school, in some form or fashion, it's going on all over the place.
Yeah.
They just happen to get popped.
Is there any, any of that in basketball? Like, how is there any way to? I remember Stu and Tim Duryea used to have the two notebooks, and one of them was real and one of them was fake. Did anybody ever try to figure those out, or was there anything that went along with those?
I've heard there may have been some of that. A manager may have been sent to an in-state school to blend in, and see what they might be able to get off the cards, because the cards were the Bible.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And one guy would have a set with red letters, and one guy have a set with black letters. And the night they would change what was live. Then you had a guy doing signs. So they were kind of like football before football.
Yeah.
All these signs you see now. But Stu had, man, I'm telling you what, when you played them, you better be ready for 75 sets. So yeah, there may have been some of that.
Yeah, I just think that's pretty fascinating on the football side, and I'm not sure if there's a basketball version of that. Obviously, we had the Houston Astros banging the garbage cans.
Yep.
I could probably catch up to a change up if I knew it was coming. If you're just alerted to what
you could absolutely.
I wouldn't be touching no fastball.
There was a topic in Denver. My buddy that does some sports radio over there told me. We were on the phone talking about stations and stuff like that, and he's like, here's a topic that actually took off on our station, because you never know what's actually going to take off. But one of the hosts said, if you took the Denver Broncos against the Colorado Rockies, the Rockies are so bad at baseball. If you took the Broncos versus the Rockies, would the Broncos win one game out of a 162-game series against the Rockies? And everybody's like, oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. There's enough athleticism, just pure athleticism. I'm like, no.
No, it's not the beer league.
It's like, no, it's never. That would not happen. That would not happen.
Cutoffs.
They would have a hard time even scoring a run.
Let's picture like one of those football players actually trying to swing a baseball bat.
Yeah,
like one of those meatheads, that are really bulky and big. No, not gonna happen.
They don't have the flexibility, right?
No, they don't have the flexibility.
Yeah, but apparently everybody hates the Rockies so much over there that they're like, oh yeah, they'd win a bunch.
Easy, not a problem. Bo Nix would be Dylan.
Mammoth had a big game last night. I want to get to that, but a little bit of breaking news in the world of college hoops. A guy that you facilitated getting him on the air with us just a couple of weeks ago, he is staying put. So Big 12 fans, you can't get rid of Arizona quite yet, because Tommy Lloyd staying put, starting lineup right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
It's time to kick off the show with the biggest headlines of the day. This is your starting lineup on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
So if you're a BYU or a Utah fan hoping Arizona would come back down to earth a bit with Tommy Lloyd taking the North Carolina job, Michael Jordan's calling him up, they're offering him a contract and make him either the highest or the second highest paid coach in all of college basketball, well, Tommy Lloyd says thanks, but no thanks. I don't know really how far down the line he went with North Carolina, but he gets his new extension with Arizona. He'll be making anywhere from 7.2 to 7.5 per. His salary pool gets a massive jump, according to multiple reports. And so Tommy Lloyd, hey, guy likes Tucson, wants to hang out there. Weather's a little bit warmer there in the winter than it is in the Triangle back there in North Carolina, so he stays put. You're not surprised by this?
I'm not surprised, because Tommy, what you have to understand his journey. He came to Gonzaga, and they were just, kind of making a transition from old coach to Mark Few. And he basically showed up and said, hey, I don't have a place to stay. He ended up sleeping for 1 year on Leon Rice's couch. Okay. And I'm not making this up.
Yeah.
I think he told me his first year they scraped together $15,000 for him, and he wanted to coach in the worst way. And the thing that I've loved about him is there were a million times over the last 20 years he could have left. I mean, he's been offered things, as you can imagine, you know how the coaching circle works, but he waited. He just, and I would talk to him about it, and he's like, I need to learn more. Like, I still need to understand. There's still stuff I don't know, and I want to. So I honestly believe he hung around until he felt like, okay, I'm ready. And then, of course, Arizona is the perfect job because we grew up with Arizona being, such a power out this way.
Lloyd Olson,
who he paid tribute to, because that's who Tommy Lloyd. I'll tell you right now, we could probably get Tommy on the phone, but he's live right now practicing. But otherwise, I think this week he'd even answer my call. Like, that's the kind of guy he is. You talked about it. We had him on the air, and I had like 12 hours to know, hey, I'm doing the show. So I texted him, and he said, we're practicing at 1. I can come on at 12:30 real quick. And coaches, they just don't do that.
No.
So he doesn't take himself too seriously. It is about the whole thing to him. And his journey has really prepared him, I think, to be the best coach in college basketball as long as he wants to continue to do it. I think he's going to be a guy that picks up the torch and carries it for a long way.
So when he was at Gonzaga, and I think it was really smart, and I tell guys that want to get in the radio business, Christian and Alex and some of these youngsters, when they go, like, is there any kind of advice? And I always say, find one aspect of this job or one topic and be the best at it. Like Ben Anderson, I think, did a really good job because he went all in on the NBA. And so Ben has elevated himself as one of the foremost authorities of the NBA in this market because he went all in on it and like, nobody's going to cover this thing better than me. And so that's why I always tell people, like, find one thing that everybody in the market will look to you as an expert about. And to Tommy Lloyd, and this is pretty well documented, he's like, look, what can I do to separate myself? Well, I'm going to start developing some relationships overseas and be the pipeline to Gonzaga to international players. And boom, just like that, Sabonis. You go down the list of all these guys that he brought over, and they've been superstars, and that's what Gonzaga really built their foundation on, other than him just being a great coach.
Yeah, and his reputation obviously is that because not only did he go out and accomplish it, but he managed all those situations. You didn't hear of things blowing up in their face. Yeah. There is a lot to it, and less now because agents can talk to agents. But back then, you're at a American university does not offer money, right, per se, and you've got to figure out a way to get a kid like Sabonis, who is one of the prize jewels of European basketball, to come over and trust that they're going to have a great experience. And time after time after time, that was the case. And a huge part of that, obviously, Mark Few, but Tommy Lloyd was the dude. And that's a great call out because he did separate himself. He became the foremost expert on how to go get a guy over there. He knew the connections, he knew the levels, and there was stuff he wouldn't share, right?
Oh, I'm sure, yeah.
That was just for him, but I couldn't be more happy for a guy because in a world where you see guys get jobs they shouldn't.
Yeah.
And it happens every single year. There are so many guys out there in jobs they shouldn't. They don't have the credentials to have. This guy, I'm telling you, to have North Carolina supposedly on the table, and even the way he managed that this week. How many times have you seen coaches just completely botch what he's doing right now, where there's this huge team out there with something on the table for them? So I'm a Tommy Lloyd fan. I hope they win it all. And you said as we walked in here, he left money on the table. And I bet you he's okay with that because he has always been about the long play.
Yeah. Well, and let's be honest, $7.5 million goes a long way in Tucson.
What would you do with that? You were just telling me your house needs a,
that'd be number one. I love where I live. I absolutely love where I live. My house, I want to just tear it to the ground and rebuild a new house. And that's what I would. I wouldn't remodel. I would just completely tear the whole thing down and rebuild it. And so yeah, that would be number one. That's what I would do.
Lloyd?
You'd probably eliminate all deer.
What would you do,
Well,
Lloyd?
I don't know what I could do to do that legally.
Sure, you could find a way.
Lloyd would probably find a way to get like metabolic steroids for X and
Whoa,
Jackie
easy.
Blue.
Wow.
Just to
Jeez,
give him an
that got dark.
advantage.
That got dark. No.
Well, who
I'm
do you
not
think you're
pumping-
dealing with? I'm wearing a Motley Crue shirt. For heaven's sake.
I'm pumping. I'm not pumping steroids in my kid.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah, we're gonna wait till like
NIL's got to get a little bigger.
we got to wait till like at least the sophomore year of high school.
Oh man,
Yeah. Then we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
we joke, but yeah, it's a thing.
Honestly, $7.5 million in your pocket right now. What would you do?
I wouldn't change my life that much. You know what I'd honestly do? I'm at a point in my life I think I would use that to bless a lot of friggin' lives in one way or another. Because I love the feeling. There isn't much I need anymore. I've got 3 or 4 guitars. I have an amp.
Yeah.
I have sufficient beanies for my needs. I have all sorts of rock and roll T-shirts that are cool.
Awesome shirt.
I'm not a guy that has to, I was driving today and I got slammed. A Hummer went flying by me.
Yeah.
And I'm always like judging people by the car they drive. Because it takes a special guy to drive.
One of my favorite things to do.
It takes a special guy to drive a Hummer or gal.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't go out and like increase my lot in life. I wouldn't sit front row and wear, fancy clothes.
Yes.
I'd just be me with a little more comfort and blessing the lives of others.
I would go to whatever concert I'd want.
Oh, yeah. We would buy a box out there at USANA. You guys would be in my box.
Nice.
Well, give me a couple more weeks, and then I'll decide about Lloyd. Scotty, you'll be in my box. That hurts, Tim.
Oh man, I love you.
I love you.
All right. Yeah, I would do a lot of traveling. That's for sure.
I do love that. Have you guys been to Europe?
Yes.
Lloyd?
Nope. Actually, yes. I should not say
Yeah,
that.
you went back to the home
went to
country.
Portugal. Yeah, so yeah, actually, yes. Sorry, I was thinking like, going to Italy.
Right.
and-
No,
and-
Portugal, I
yeah.
hear, is
No.
incredible. The people
Are even better.
are even better.
Absolutely.
Every
Well,
Portuguese
except for one.
That's not the truth.
TBD.
Yeah. I went to my wife and I went on a cruise, and we hit London, and then we had to bus into Paris. I hated Paris. Hated it. So touristy. Just felt like the whole city was on top of you.
And plus, they hated you too.
They did.
So
They did. And I had some skirmishes with people at the Louvre.
I'll take some ketchup with my fries, please.
Yeah. But then we went into Spain. That's where it's at. Spain.
Went to Spain. I've been there.
Spain is the chillest place on the planet.
Tell me you went to Valencia.
I did not.
You need to take your wife to Valencia.
I want to spend 2 weeks in Spain with a rental car, and me and the wife just drive through that country because that place is just chill.
And you can get any kind of, food that's Mediterranean-ish, or you can get pretty normal food.
Yeah.
That's not the case in France.
No.
I got bakery. The whole time I was in France, I just got up in the morning, went to the bakery. And
croissant.
I ate croissants all day. Coach Rose and I walked around with croissant in one hand, cheese in the other, and a Diet Coke in our back pocket. And
With
that
no
was
ice,
France.
because they don't like giving you ice over there.
I'll tell you a funny France story, can I?
Oh, yeah.
So about 3 weeks after I got hired at BYU, we went on an international tour. I was the operations director. So a lot of things had been planned through a company.
Yeah.
And then, some of the loose ends like finding activities, restaurants, interesting things to do. That was going to be my thing. So one of the first things I needed to do when we got there, and it was jet lag and there was all sorts of pressure and it was a new job and I didn't want to mess it up, was find the nearest church.
Was this Rose or Cleveland?
Rose.
Okay.
And I didn't know him like I know him now.
Yeah.
So if I knew him like I knew him now, I'd be like, we'll find a church. But I was nervous. And it's not like we're in Salt Lake where there's a church
On every corner.
on every corner. So I got busy trying to use a European keyboard, changing the screen from French to English. I got through all that, and somebody came running up and was like, the food's not ready, blah, blah, blah. And it was my first snap ever at BYU, and there would be many more. But I turned real terse, and I said, look, let me find the blanking church first. And I kind of had forgotten that my employer frowns upon maybe that kind of verbiage.
Those expletives. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyhow, that was my welcome. Like, oh wait, I'm not at Utah anymore.
I can't find a bleeping chapel house in this bleeping country.
We got to go to bleeping church.
Jeez. Got to get these kids bleeping morally right, for crying out loud. Now, those international trips are great.
Yeah, I went to Spain.
Yeah.
I'm with you on Spain. You have to go to Greece. Greece is a must.
I haven't been to Greece.
Greece is a must. And we found, Ryan Smith went on that trip with us, Ryan and Ashley. And we found out there, we were on the Isle of Crete. And we're playing a game on the Isle of Crete. And I'll never forget it. Like, you think we're on the Isle of Crete, well, nobody's here. And like 40 BYU fans walk in with T-shirts on.
Of course.
The Isle of Crete. But anyway, we were out there and we found the most fabulous Italian restaurant. Go figure. So we actually ate Italian a couple times on the Smiths out there, which was really cool.
All right, 1224, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. The great Craig Bolerjack's going to join us at 1:05. Jay Stevens will join us at 2:05. And at 1:30, the new head coach of the Weber State Wildcats, fired up as it is Kaleb Canales will take over that job. And so we're going to have his first media interview coming up with him at 1:30. It's all right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Believe it or not, this guy actually has friends.
Nice.
This is Scotty G and Friends on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Scott Gerard hanging out with Tim LaComb. Jazz in action coming up tonight when they take on the Houston Rockets. Jazz are going to win one of these games down the stretch. I don't know which one. I can't imagine that they're going to go in the offseason on a 12-game losing skid. I hope that's the case.
Yeah, we all hope we all hope that's the case. But I'm with you. I think they will find one because these young guys are playing so hard.
Yeah.
Denver tried to put them away 2 or 3 times the other night and had full strength with Murray going crazy for 37 and Jokic doing Jokic things. I was so impressed with Jokic the other night. He didn't even take a shot until he had 5 assists and 6 rebounds. Okay? He didn't take a shot. He finished the first half 1 for 2. And he was just absolutely happy as a clam because Jamal Murray had 6 threes.
What did he end up with, like 12, 17, and 12 or something like that?
Just, pedestrian. But, yeah, I think these guys play so hard and they're playing really well against contending teams, so they're bound to probably break through. But to Kennedy Chandler's point, I looked at this the other day. I thought it was interesting. Talks about all the minutes, that you go play after playing college to the pros. And I looked at Ace Bailey. Ace Bailey played 1,000 minutes last year in college. Okay?
Yeah.
This year, his season's not over yet. He's played 1,863 minutes. So there's it's really double. And it will be more than double when it's all said and done. But that's what broadcasting feels like, too. You coach a college season, and, at the end of this thing, I need, 2 weeks of sleep.
Well, I got to imagine, I've heard NFL guys talk about this as well in their rookie year. They get to week 12, week 13, and they're like, all right, we're wrapping this bad boy up. And you're like, no, we got another month of this. And if we're making the playoffs, another 2 or 3 games before it's all said and done. And your body's just like, wait, what? I don't know how we can do that. I saw that up close. I don't think I've ever seen a team run out of gas more than Utah State was playing Villanova. And Villanova's dealt with a couple of injuries. They really had a 7-man rotation. And the way that Utah State plays and the way that they get up and down the court and they defend, in that second half, you saw the legs just fall out from Villanova. And just they're done. They were literally we can't get off this court fast enough. And Utah State was responsible for that. I'm not taking anything away from the Aggies, but you just see a certain moment where guys are really, really just huffing and puffing. Now, you look at Ace Bailey. Ace is seemingly getting better as the season's gone on, but that's also because of some great opportunities, too. So he's taking advantage of that.
Yeah, he's been very coachable. I've seen opportunities where he could have gotten sideways, with some of the things, and he's taken everything in stride. He didn't come into the room and try to be the man. I I think that is so undersold in the world.
Yeah.
I think so many people come into something new and they feel like, okay, I've got to make my mark. And all he did was come in like, I'm going to learn from these guys. And he made 3 plays the other night in the game. He made a quick pull 3 right in Drew Gordon's face from right in front of the bench. That is a hard shot. I mean, he didn't even really bring it down. He just caught it, and he was there, and he just, instantly shot it like Markkanen sometimes gets those off quick. He made one where he drove hard down the alley, got to a jump stop, and then took a big old step back and kind of a fader that we've seen guys like Carmelo Anthony do.
Yeah.
I mean, he had some flair to that thing. And then, the power game where he drives the lane, dudes get out of his way, and he just comes home and bangs that thing. So, man, I know the Jazz, the win total is not there, but I've been preaching this to the choir for a long time. These dudes in the front office are so good at what they do, and the excitement, I can feel the excitement now for next year already. The game the other night was nuts against the Nuggets.
Yeah.
Because they appreciate this effort, right? So anyhow.
Well, I mean, that's what Jazz fans are. I mean, they will. I mean, that's why. What's the guy? Trevor. I can't remember the dude, the cereal guy. I mean, they love that dude. Jay Crowder. Jazz fans love that guy. Jay was a black hole when it came to offense.
Oh, you're talking Trevor Booker.
Trevor Booker, yeah. And but there are certain guys out there that just resonate with the fan base here because you can see the effort, the try. That's what will resonate with this fan base. Carlos Boozer is a hell of a player. Never resonated with the fan base because they didn't really feel like the effort was there. But, I mean, the guy was awesome. People forget how good of a player he was in his prime. But, fans never really – they thought, oh, okay, here comes a pull hammy. He's going to be out for 3 months. But if guys play through injuries, play hard, risk their body, dive for loose balls, play good defense, dude, you'll never have to pay for a meal in Salt Lake City the rest of your life.
And what's crazy to me, Scotty, is that over the course of this rebuild, and, it has not been easy to live it day by day, but the way I say this a lot on pre and post, but the way I chose to look at it way back then, when you gave me the opportunity to start doing it, was I was on the back end of a team that felt like maybe they could make a run, and that got disbanded, and I've been basically able to watch this thing every single game pretty much for the entire rebuild, and I likened it to building a house. You talked about ripping the house down and building it up again, and I watched like really sturdy foundation go in with Will Hardy. And, I know people want to debate because he doesn't, quote unquote, win games, but you got to understand what situations have been. But I've seen a guy who has instituted, to your point on us hard playing, instituted a culture that has resonated and stuck in the midst of a rebuild. And that's really hard to do. It's hard to be transparent in it. It's hard to be authentic in it, but he has he's just done a yeoman's job.
Yeah.
And so he's the foundation. And then little by little, you watch Keontae becomes, wow, that's a nice feature. Ace Bailey, I knew when they drafted him, this dude's going to be an all-star watching his tape. But the way that then they make the trade, this team, we did Fact or Fiction the other night on the pregame show. I did TV, which is rare. They keep me away from cameras at all costs.
I don't know, dude. You're made for the camera.
But it was me, CJ Miles, and the great Alema Harrington. And it was Fact or Fiction. And the first question was, is LeBron James the GOAT? What was my answer?
No.
Correct. I feel like Michael Jordan's the GOAT.
Michael Jordan's always the GOAT.
Okay. And my dad thought Oscar Roberts. I prefaced it by saying my dad said Oscar Roberts.
Where did CJ go on that?
CJ went fiction as well. He was with Jordan.
Good.
Yeah. Second one was, are the Jazz a top 8 team next year in the West?
Oh, fact.
And I said, well, I'm going to fact this and trumpet. No relation to. I was just talking to the president.
Huge.
I was just talking to the president.
No big deal.
He drives a Hummer.
Yeah.
So anyhow, I said top 6. They're going to finish in the top 6 next year because they have positional size. Well, first of all, they've got the foundation. They've got a culture. And there will be so many teams next year trying to find that because they're going to move dudes around. The Jazz are already that. And even this last 20 games has helped solidify the culture. because you see it now resonating down through the roster without the top line guys playing. So you've got the foundation, you've got now the amenities, and it is time to put this sucker on the market, and let's see what we can get for it.
So I do want to spend some time talking about the Mammoth. Last night, we talked about playoffs and what we saw and what we hope to see next year with the Utah Jazz. We will see that this year with Utah Mammoth. Last night, they played a game in Seattle, and I was on the edge of my seat watching that game because I knew that if the Mammoth win that game, they feel pretty comfortable where they're at. Seattle had to have that game. Like, the Mammoth wanted that game. Seattle had to have it. And boom, just like that, they're up two goals. And then Utah gets one late in the first, and then it just steamrolls. And this team just absolutely took the Kraken behind the woodshed and just roughed them up. And it was a flex against a team that desperately needed that on their own home ice. I loved the physicality. I loved their ability to finish power plays. I loved everything about what I saw last night. And that team took care of business in an absolutely critical game for their opponent. They embarrassed their opponent. It's like when you guys go to San Diego State and put it on Kauai in front of a rabid crowd at Viejas. Like, that was really impressive to see what they were able to do right from the jump.
Well, and to add context to it, too, and San Diego State's like half game behind you in the standings and nipping at your heels. So those games are real. And I feel like of all the games, that game last night simulated what a playoff would feel like because there was just that extra tension. And then you fall behind. And the thing I've been surprised about watching hockey this year is how – because you don't think games would change a lot. But I've seen a handful of games. I was at a game this year. I went and watched Connor McDavid play the other night.
No,
I had
nice.
to see that.
Yeah, you have to.
And I went with one of my guys at the Jazz, Chris Bailey, and we sat right behind the goal on the glass. So it was an incredible seat. But that game changed on a dime. You know, the Mammoth got out to a lead, and the second period, McDavid and his crew, man, they went crazy and took the lead and kind of forced their way for the rest of the game. But what I liked about last night is it simulated what playoffs will feel like. It put some pressure on them. They're not at home. They can't rely on that. And they really did have to rely on toughness. And that, to me, has been the differentiator. When they really lean into tough, that's when they find themselves. And I'm just excited. I think just much like I said, I think you can feel the pulse of the arena when I'm doing pre and post when the Mammoth are in there.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I love the classic rock and all that. It's such a cool vibe. But these people are ready for the playoffs, and this place is going to go bananas.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Lloyd, did you watch the game last night?
Oh, yes.
By the way, I know everybody likes Roxy Bernstein. The dude needs to stay with college hoops. Like, I love my Mammoth.
I'm a fan of him on the
Was
on
he
the
not
call.
great at it?
He was fine. I just
Hold on, let me get him on the horn here.
yeah. Oh, okay. I got to be careful
Rox is in the network.
because you know everybody. That's why I got to be careful who I call out.
No, you can call it anybody you want. This is authenticity, baby.
Emily Kaplan, who does the halftimes, the intermissions, she was awesome. But this is the first time I really sat back and watched a lot of these national broadcasters. But I'm watching that broadcast last night, and after the game, they interviewed Logan Cooley, who was fantastic again. And I look at Cooley, and look, I've seen him a bunch. I've been in the same room with him, but for some reason, watching him last night really resonated with the fact, like, holy smokes, this kid he's so young. He is so young. I mean, he had that baby face going on, and it's just like, my goodness, if the Mammoth, as they have, lock this kid down and can build around him and add the pieces, and if these draft picks pay off, there's no reason why this team isn't capable of hoisting a Lord Stanley Cup here in the next 3, 4, 5 years.
And the cool goings on, too, like Ryan understood the assignment, to borrow a phrase. And, his vision was not just let's bring a hockey team here, but let's bring a championship-level hockey team here. And you may not bring it right away, but the things they've done, the facility is beyond compare. And having, I work out at Southtown during the day, and so visiting teams will come out to the rink to use it. And that's actually, a great design, too, because they walk in there and their jaws hit the ground. There's nothing like this in the NHL. And you already start to hear buzzes around the league that Utah's a preferred destination because of the way they take care of their players. So to me, it was only a matter of time because when I saw how the community then rallied, like it is a whole different crowd. You know what I mean? Like there's people that do both, but that crowd is raucous, rowdy, and ready to go.
Those are our people.
That's my folk right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not I don't own any Armani.
There's not a lot of Hummers out in that parking lot.
No, that's Datsun B210s with a redone transmission.
A lot of F-150s out there.
F-150s, baby, whatever rolls. El Caminos, a couple of those maybe. But it's a blue-collar crowd.
All my friends drive a lowrider.
Then you need new friends. I'm just kidding.
That used to be my ringtone back in the day when you could when you could choose your ringtone.
Oh, that was so cool.
Yeah.
I know somebody'd walk in with like Big Poppy or Big Papa. You know?
That did get me into trouble once because, you could assign certain phone calls or certain ringtones to certain people. And I lost my phone, and I told my wife to call my phone. And then all of a sudden, Green Bay's Basket Case comes on. And she's like, really? And I'm like, it's for everybody, baby.
Wow.
You know I like Green Day. You know I like Green Day.
You know, Daddy likes his
Scotty.
Green Day.
I don't know why she'd be mad.
To be honest, it was for everybody. It was a universal one.
And that was no. I'm having trouble.
Yeah.
Trying to sleep.
All right, 1244, what you may have missed coming up next. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
I sold my car in Carvana last night.
Well, that's cool.
No, you don't understand. It went perfectly. Real offer, down to the penny. They're picking it up tomorrow. Nothing went wrong.
So, what's the problem?
That is the problem. Nothing in my life goes as smoothly. I'm waiting for the catch.
Maybe there's no catch.
That's exactly what a catch would want me to think.
Wow, you need to relax.
I need to knock on wood. Do we have wood? Is this table wood?
I think it's laminate.
Okay, yeah, that's good. That's close enough.
Car selling without a catch. Sell your car today on Carvana. Pickup fees may apply.
You're locked on to Scotty G and Friends on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Craig Bolerjack's going to join us coming up here in just a moment. You cannot not like this song. Everybody has to love this song.
It makes me start to freaky dance. Like, ow!
I was on a date with a girl, and this song came on, and she just ripped off the lyrics, and I'm like,
Hey, little thing.
Okay.
I'll take you on a second date.
Caller number 12 right now, 801-575-ZONE. You win 2 tickets to see the Black Crowes with special guest Whiskey Myers to the Utah First Credit Union Amphitheater coming up on Thursday, August 13th. Tickets on sale at livenation.com.
And now she's your wife.
Yeah. No, I don't think she was she got me into a lot of different music. She was into she's a big Pearl Jam fan.
Really?
Yeah. She even had some, remember Bjork?
Oh, Bjork.
She had me listen to Bjork back in the day. I know, right?
I mean, that's progressive.
Yeah.
Bjork. I just like the name. Bjork.
I know. And then so when I was like, well, here's what I like to listen to. His name's Chris Ledoux. And
you were.
Oh, yeah. I was big.
Straight country?
Old school country at that point.
Waylon Jennings.
Throwing Copenhagen cans.
Copenhagen. Yeah.
I think he's regressed because I saw one sitting in here, unless that was Jake's.
No, that's not mine.
I'm just kidding. There's April Fool's on the 3rd.
We're not even supposed to bring drinks in here.
No,
we would never do
in
that.
Here, man.
No, not one bit. Final Four coming up this weekend. Arizona. All right, so you talk about the long play with Tommy Connor. How about this? Or not Tommy Connor, sorry. I don't know why I got
he's
Tommy.
had the long play, too.
I don't know why I got Tommy Connor stuck in my head. But how about the fact that Tommy Lloyd sits at the podium and says, I am not taking the North Carolina job. Well, guess who's everybody will now be talking to
Mark
about
Pope.
it? Dusty May.
Oh, I thought Mark Pope might get it.
So Dusty May now has to deal with the distractions for Michigan, who will be playing Arizona.
And Dusty May, that is a job that Dusty probably will take.
Yeah.
I mean, Michigan's awesome, don't get me wrong, but Michigan's a football school.
Yeah. Kyle Whittingham's like, I own this school. Yeah.
That's Kyle's territory now.
I think Arizona and Michigan, though, look, I don't want to cross out UConn after what we saw, and Illinois obviously is a great story, but doesn't it feel like that's your national championship game?
Yes, no, without a doubt. They've been the two that have just kind of risen above everybody else. Like when Michigan got my attention when they beat Gonzaga by 40.
Yeah.
Gonzaga does not lose, period. And when they do lose, it's never by more than a few. So that was pretty telling. And then when you watch that tape and how they ragdolled them, but they've ragdolled a lot of people. So I'm with you, I think. And then if it's that, whoa, look out. Could be one for the ages.
Jared Calhoun really brought up an interesting point after. And by the way, look, score-wise, Utah State was one of the best to handle, to take on Arizona in this tournament.
Hey, so in my mind, I look at games like there's push and pull, right? It's like your tug of war. And I felt like in the beginning of that game, if Utah State could have made some shots early, they maybe could have got a little traction early, but they stayed in it. They got down. But to me, the real key was they got that rope coming back their way in a big way, to the point where if there was a few more minutes, it might have got interesting because Utah State, like you said, their pace and the fact that every pass you make is contested. So it's not just the physical, but it's the mental fatigue. And, yeah, man, I was really impressed. They played them better than anyone.
And, I mean, they had the ball down 4 with about, 4 minutes left. Can't ask for a better situation up against a team that may end up being a national championship. But afterwards, Jared Calhoun brought up a really good point on when I talked to him on my postgame and then in the postgame comments at the podium. But he said, I'm really fascinated to see what Arizona does and the style in which they play and how successful that will be throughout the course of the tournament. And some people took it different ways. Like some people thought that when he said that, he wasn't overly impressed with Arizona and how they played. But I think what it was that they are the anti-college basketball right now. They don't shoot a lot of threes. Now, here's the thing. They'll shoot threes, but they're good threes. They don't just hoist threes because they have a quota of needing to get 35 up a game. They're not that team. They have good ball rotation, and they'll shoot threes when they have them available to them. But other than that, they're going to bully you. They're going to get rebounds. They're going to get second chance opportunities. And it's just old school, 93, 94 Knicks style basketball. And they're just bigger, stronger than everybody else out. They may not be the most aesthetically pleasing team, but boy, you come out of a game with them and you feel it.
Well, and you saw it, like it's their positional size that just makes them freakish. And when they played Purdue, I thought, in terms of battle of styles, two teams, it would almost be like lining up two, wishbone teams that love to just grind it between the tackles and when lucky, get outside maybe a little bit. But they really handled Purdue. And Purdue is solid. They don't make mistakes. Arizona forced them into mistakes by just being bigger, stronger, faster. They're a freakish team, and BYU played them great this year too. BYU, same type of deal. They were pushing hard to get back, and if there's another 30 seconds, I think BYU probably beats them that night.
Matt Painter's teams in Purdue, that's they're known for their length.
Yeah, length and physicality,
and to be bullied by Arizona in that way, shape, or form. I mean, that was super impressive to watch. I love Michigan. I love the way they play. And I certainly love how Arizona plays as well, because that's my youth. That's me watching basketball growing up. And so when I see that, I'm like, oh, yeah, if I was coaching a team, that's how
Throw it in the post, man.
Throw it in the post, back to the basket game, that big 7-footer, blocking shots right and left. Just, yeah.
And really all it is, like if you just dumb basketball down. And you
that's
watch
a good point.
Right? You watch it enough. When you cross half court in a half court set, all you're trying to do is gain an advantage where somebody has to help. That's what you're looking for. So you can accomplish that a lot of different ways. Motion with screens, to be able to free guys up and give them a little space. Ball screens, which everybody in the world does. But the old tried and true way, too, is if you got a real threat, throw it to them. And it doesn't even need to be down on the low block anymore.
Yeah.
You see Jokic all the time at the nail or at the top of the key. Throw it to them and let those guys make decisions. And, both, I would say Michigan and Arizona, they're aesthetically pleasing because they play basketball. They just try to play on advantage. And most shots are on advantage and most shots are good shots.
I don't want to, I am going to, but I'll steal the line from David Locke. What Arizona does really well is the hockey assist. It's the assist before the assist that I think they do a tremendous job with their ball movement. And if in this day and age of college basketball, where it's just a talent grab, especially when that portal opens, you got to be like, okay, I'm going to get that guy, and just bring him in. And then you kind of build your system based on what you have available to you and what you can go get, instead of being able to go out and spend months and months at AAU tournaments and high school recruiting and say, that guy's going to fit our system. Let's go get him. Instead, you go get the best players and then you build what you can around them. Is this what, when Tommy Lloyd builds a team, is this a Tommy Lloyd team, or is this a team that Tommy Lloyd built based on what was available to him?
No, this is a Tommy Lloyd team for sure. And you look at those Gonzaga teams that he recruited most of the guys for back in the day, and they always had big guys that you had to deal with down low, that if you threw them the ball, that you had to do something as a defense. You couldn't, they had Sabonis, through the years. They had so many big dudes, but you threw the ball down in there and you had to come with a second defender or else it was a basket. And that's what Tommy would love to do. He doesn't need to run a play. They run the ball up in transition. His guys, if you watch it tomorrow, are so good at posting in transition. Like the minute ball crosses half court, you throw it ahead, and that big's finding somebody to just absolutely demolish. And usually in transitions, it's small because the bigs are handling the rebound and getting back. Guards have to be there early until the big can come. And so, yeah, a lot. That's one area that they're just great, and he would love to play inside out all night long. And so, to me, whoever wins that game, Illinois. I actually think Illinois will beat UConn. I think Illinois is going to win because I think Illinois is the most like those other two.
Yeah,
they're not quite at that level, but they're pretty darn close.
By the way, I'm trying to think, and I'm not trying to rub salt in the wounds. You got the Deladova shot. I'm trying to think of just heart-wrenching losses that you may have been on the sideline for. How do you, if you're Duke, I don't know how you come back from that.
I really don't either. And 2 years in a row, really. Last year, the out-of-bounds play that they couldn't handle. It's going to probably wear on the psyche of Shire more than anything. Because he took the seat of a guy who never made mistakes, right? And if he did, it was not his fault because he had built up enough capital. But I think, the unfortunate part, that's something I did a clinic on Monday. Spring break clinic up in Farmington for some youth with the Jazz. And one of the things when we teach each component in about 45 minutes of just learning how to figure out how to play and passing. And one of the first things I tell kids, man, you can't just throw the ball where you want to throw it. You have to use deception. It's like a magic trick. Show it one way and throw it another. And if you go back and look at that, if Caden would have, and he's done it a million times, if he was stepped with force and pump fake that, both guys jump in the air, and he probably steps through the trap. Game over.
Yeah.
So at a certain point, it's just
just hold it and take the foul
because there's not 10 seconds left.
Yeah.
But bottom line, don't do what you did, and that's what makes it so hard to. That's a very good team that a lot of people thought could win it, and it comes down to one play, and you don't execute, and you're out.
Yeah. This is going to haunt Shire until he wins a national championship.
No question, because I can attest, when I went to BYU, they hadn't won a tournament game since the early 90s.
Yeah.
I think it was Roger Reed won the last tournament game. And then all that time, I think we got there and they still hadn't won one and actually had been to the tournament once and lost. So I was a part of two more losses, and it started to mount. You feel pressure, and when we finally beat Florida.
OT, right?
In overtime.
Yeah.
Jackson Emery, if you're out there, I love you to death. He hit. We're down 4 in an absolute must-have possession, and we're trying to work it into a ball screen. They do a great job. So it's one of those possessions that you have to kind of you can't start over because there's not enough time, but somebody needs to make a play. And so it gets kicked out. I'll never forget it. Goes 11-10. Ball gets skipped to Jackson. He hits a 3 at the top of the key to cut the game to 1. If he misses that shot with I think there was 2 minutes left. Then you're into really dicey territory. But then we come down, get a stop. Anyway, it goes to overtime. We win. And I felt 25 pounds lighter walking down the tunnel. No lie. Because there were a lot of people that had played and coached, and had a lot of success, but never won a tournament game in all that time. So it was neat to get that done.
The great Craig Bolerjack up next. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
I sold my car in Carvana last night.
Well, that's cool.
No, you don't understand. It went perfectly. Real offer, down to the penny. They're picking it up tomorrow. Nothing went wrong.
So What's the problem?
That is the problem. Nothing in my life goes as smoothly. I'm waiting for the catch.
Maybe there's no catch.
That's exactly what a catch would want me to think.
Wow, you need to relax.
I need to knock on wood. Do we have wood? Is this table wood?
I think it's laminate.
Okay, yeah, that's good. That's close enough.
Car selling without a catch. Sell your car today on Carvana. Pickup fees may apply.
Breaking down the teams you're passionate about. This is Scotty G and Friends on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
You hear this song, you know what it means. The great Craig Bolerjack will join us, the highwayman himself, on the road in Houston. Hi, Bowler. How are you?
I'm good, Scotty. Tim, what's happening? Final long stretch here. 5 to go, 3 on the road, back home, L.A., Lakers, and what do you know? Done until summer and the draft. Can't wait.
Where does Houston rank on your cities?
That's a good question. I would say this hotel is high level. I would say it's in the upper third of, it's busy. I mean, I think it's like, top 4 or 5 cities population in America and rising quickly. But yeah, you can get around pretty good if you stay close to the hotel, but out on the highway, you think we've got problems.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Houston's got problems.
Just be glad you're on the old charter and not trying to fly commercial out of there.
I got to get to Hobby. I got to get to Hobby real quick.
Yeah, you got that. Get there quick so you can wait 5 hours to get through security.
That's about right. Oh my gosh, I think isn't Hobby one of the biggest TSA log jams right now in the country? Yeah.
Hey, so by the way, Tim, I was an opportunity of a lifetime. Our good friend Jeremy Bruner, who called you up to do TV, he sends me a text. Utah State's playing San Diego State, and he said, "Hey, do you have a passport? Is your passport up to date?" I'm like, "Yep." He's like, "Can I get you to Toronto on an overnight and call the Jazz game tomorrow?" I'm like, "Hell yeah, let's go." And so I fly out to Toronto and get to the hotel, and let's just say it's Toronto, one of the most beautiful, iconic cities in the world. I'm staying at a really beautiful hotel. Call the game in Toronto. Awesome opportunity, Bowler. I was so sorry to hear that you were under the weather, but it didn't really break my heart too much, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, once a year I struggle with, I don't know, it's weird. I mean, you struggle. All of us do, trying to do, travel and hit a game and keeping healthy. And I finally said, it's just not fair to go out and have people listen to a guy that can't talk. So JB got you to Toronto, and I met the team in Indy, and it all worked out. And I'm glad it did, pal. Glad it did.
But so I stay at one of the nicest hotels in Toronto. Call the NBA.
Are you the one that ran up my bill in the room?
Let's not get let's not get caught in the weeds here a little bit.
Put that on the Bolerjack dossier.
It's not important, but let's just say that robe was really nice and it needed to come home with me.
Is that the one you're wearing right now?
Yeah,
it's really good.
Yeah. Oh. Hey, look, you know what? All 4 of those seasons are well represented, if you know what I mean. So anyway, Come back home and then drive that Monday night to Laramie, and I'm at the Courtyard by Marriott in Laramie less than 48 hours later. And I'm like, and I was texting Jeremy and Locke, I'm like, this is quite the whiplash.
Yeah. Welcome to the world of broadcast. The Courtyard Marriott in Toronto. Toronto's like New York of Canada, right? I mean, it's an amazing city. It really is. A lot of high rises, by the way. A lot of high rise apartments and condos in Toronto.
Oh, they've built some things in Laramie, have they? Oh,
yeah. So from that hotel in Toronto to the hotel I was at in Laramie, where they actually, one of the perks in this hotel in Laramie, they actually, every room you go into, they've got earplugs because the wind is so loud there. And there's nothing else to stop that wind. There's no high rises, so they give you earplugs so you can sleep well at night. Yeah.
They still get a free breakfast up there?
It's continental,
Continental,
so
sure. Yeah.
They throw a stale bagel at you and a tub of cream cheese and then say, here, shut your mouth. Enjoy it.
And a glass of juice, and you're on your way.
Yeah, but that juice can...
So in theory, you went from winter, spring, summer, and fall.
Yes.
All you got to do is call a long, cold winter.
Yes.
In Laramie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Bowlers kind of lives that high life. I would say you and I are more the Laramie courtyard kind of guy. I mean, respectable. Do our best. We'll give you our plugs if there's wind.
We do our best. Hey, Bowler, when you look at this down the stretch, there are guys that you, I'm sure, weren't planning on talking about, Kennedy, you go down the list, all these guys. But one thing that's really impressed me with the development of Ace Bailey, and I'm going to throw Cody Williams in that a little bit as well.
Sure.
You know that there's going to be, those guys can score. That's just not a big deal. Like, they're scorers, and there's a lot of shots to be had out there. But I like the way that they are scoring. I like the way that their game is developed. So the fact that these dudes can score 30 points on any given night, not surprising to me. But I love the fact Ace Bailey getting to the rim, finishing at the rim, getting to the free throw line. Those elements of his game that are developing throughout the course of the season, that's impressive to me.
Yeah, Ace has come a long way. Filipowski's made the jump in year 2, Sensabaugh in year 3. You go Cody Williams, who was kind of, on a fence, to be honest, whether or not, that 10th pick was going to work out or not. I think since the All-Star break, he's maybe made the biggest jump. He's had a couple of, games where he's taken a step back, but I think Tim can attest to this. Any player, the next level of the maturation is, okay, that's one of 82. Are you going to sit and pout, or are you going to move ahead and just say, let's play on? And I think Cody finally has passed that point where you can survive an 0 for 9 game and then come back and go, a double-digit 20-point night, or can Filipowski be more physical, which he has been this year? He's had, back-to-back double-doubles. He's averaged 25 and 10 the last 4. Senzabaugh's been on fire from 3. The biggest thing, though, is the conversation, I think, that will still be made in the back rooms of the Jazz executive offices will be who can play D, who can give it that effort each night, and also be an offensive threat, but also be a defensive stopper, and not worry about the shots. Scotty and Tim, that's the deal. Look, next year, Locke and I were talking about this today at shoot-around, is, look at the shots. How many are there really available when you bring back Marketing, and you also have Keontae and Ace and Bryce off the bench most likely? He could start if he had to on given nights, but how do you distribute the shots in a particular game? So even though some of these young guys are scoring now, they may have to take a different role when we roll back into camp in September and we start to play again in October, which there's a lot of excitement there. And I didn't even mention the Triple J man, Jaren Jackson Jr., who's going to demand his own shots and Marketing. So it's a good problem to have. But you also have to know that these players have to understand their role. And I think that this year particularly has been a good one for them to kind of understand that. Many are out, and these young guys have been cheered on by the likes of Keontae and Collier and Marketing and Kaleb and others. So let's see how this all meshes when they get together again for camp. There's a lot of excitement, and there's 5 games to go, but you still got some work to do, and try to stay focused if you can.
Bowler, I have the advantage of seeing you every single night prior to the broadcast when you sit down with Coach Hardy, get some thoughts from him. But I know over the course of that time, you've been able to develop a relationship. Just pull behind the curtain a little bit of what it's like, what Will's like. What it's been like to work with him, and the job that he's done thus far with the Jazz.
Yeah, Tim, that's a good question. A lot of people, coaches don't really show their, I don't say really want to pull the curtain down all that much. He's got a wicked sense of humor. He is to the point, which I do appreciate, by the way, and I think fans should as well. He's very open to a point, and I know he's got the best interest of his players, like coaches should. Tim, you know that. I mean, it's a good breakdown of talent. You don't throw anybody under the bus per se. You do that if you're going to do that in private. And again, I think it goes back to how he handled Keontae and just how he's developed this year and year 3 from year 2. You got to be up front. You got to be, gosh, man, you got to have so many different hats of psychologist, father figure. You've got to be real. You've got to be, your timing has to be right to deal with so many different personalities. And I think Will, for the time, is the right guy. And now next year, he's actually going to get a chance in his 5th season, mind you guys. I mean, that's hard to believe. He's going to coach. I mean, he's going to be able to coach and not just develop, because that process, is you never complete the task, but let's just say some of the hard labor is complete. And now you get to go out and let these guys play, and the schemes defensively and offensively that you believe in and draw up and teach, now you can actually see how it's going to work out on the floor and what type of wins and losses you truly get with a high-level talented team and a bench that can fill the gaps too. And it's exciting to think about in a five months' time, how this team's going to come together and who's going to be on this roster.
Craig Bolerjack, voice of the Utah Jazz, kind enough to hang out with us right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jazz and Rockets coming up tonight. If you had a MVP vote, who would you give it to? Oh,
wow. That's a great question. There's been so many guys in and out, Scotty.
Yeah, you got, Wemby. There's a lot of guys that are making a good push for it. You got Wemby, you got Doncic, you've got Shea, and I'm missing somebody else. And Joker.
And
yeah.
the Joker.
Yeah.
I mean, the Joker, man, we just saw him twice in the last, 12 days. He is a remarkable athlete. Doesn't really showcase it in the sense of, T likes to say, and I would too. I mean, is he, how sexy is his game? Well, it's not, but it's the most, potent at every level. I mean, passing, rebounding, scoring, complaining, all the above. But
not quite to the Doncic. He's not to the Doncic level.
Not quite. Those two guys are running neck and neck. But look, there's a lot of talent. And I think, when you vote, which I don't have one, but I think what happens is you look at also where the records land. SGA could easily win it again. Oklahoma City is terrific, deep. He is the leader, and everyone knows it. But it'll be interesting to see how the votes go down. Wemby has come on really strong, and I think is going to be probably SGA's biggest competitor, in my opinion. The Spurs are back, and they're obviously it's Wembanyama's team. Luka is a hell of a talent, but at the same time, I think you have to look at positions and where you're at. And the West is loaded, by the way. Cade Cunningham probably with Detroit was in the discussion until about 3-4 weeks ago, but the West is where the dominant players live right now. And I think SGA and probably Wemby maybe 1-2 with probably 3-4 between the Joker and Luka. Is that anywhere near? I mean, that's just kind of off the top of my head.
No,
I
think that's
pretty quick.
I think that's about right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Who are you going with, Scotty?
I hate to do it, but it's probably Shea.
Yeah, it's me too. I'm just, you got to give it to the best player on the best team.
Yeah.
Most of the time. I like to reward winning.
Yeah.
Does that make sense in the MVP thing?
For sure. And
because it also is it's that other piece of the puzzle of like, okay, how did you do individually, but then how did that reflect on your team, the position and where you are in your conference, and where do you're going to be able to solidify a number one seed throughout the playoffs? I mean, that's a heavy piece of weighing out, a vote and where it lands and why. And I think that's probably the tipping point again this year for Gilgeous-Alexander, for sure.
You guys will remember this because you both were around, but the year that Charles Smith won the player in the Mountain West Conference back with New Mexico, and they were dead last in the league, but he had these gaudy numbers, and he got the award. And I think that year was the year I'm like, okay, I'm going to drop at least my perspective to be they win it. Then you pick somebody off that team. But That one left a bad taste in my mouth. Charles Spider Smith. You remember him, Bowler? Used to call his games.
I do. Absolutely. And I think that's where the argument, too, is with the Joker. Right now they're still in a solid 4th spot in the West as they've got a home court advantage. But at the same time, the triple-doubles, they come. But, he's been out, and they've had, a hiccup or two. But right now they're playing incredibly well. And Jamal Murray has been I'd say that combination is ridiculous. The way they played against the Jazz the last couple of games, late threes. I mean, that's a veteran team, too, that they don't panic, and they know how to win when they have to. And even though the Jazz have put out a couple of 10-day contracted guys, I was still proud of the fact that the guys busted, the backside and played hard, played some good D, and frustrated the Joker and Jamal. But it always comes down, right, to the last 3 minutes of a lot of games, and veteran teams find a way. And that's kind of the definition of who Denver is.
Bowler, you're the best, man. We appreciate it. Thanks for your time, and let's do it again next week, okay?
All right, Timmy, sing it. Is Tim played his guitar yet?
I don't have it here with me, but I did try to call you. You must have been at dinner last night. Well,
It's
fine.
I need a solo.
I love when you answer with and you're prepping and just kind of. But we'll do it again.
Yeah, I tell you, Scotty, the guy can. You got to be with Led.
I know.
Led Zeppelin or maybe Def Leppard. I'm not sure, but one of those two.
You know what? You got to fire up for Bowler though. How?
Oh, LaGrange.
Yeah.
The Top. Got to do that one, man.
Loves him some ZZ Top. Thanks, Bowler. We'll talk soon.
All right, guys. Take care.
There he is, Craig Bolerjack, right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Hey, the Copper Rock Masters giveaway starts next week. One lucky winner will receive 18 holes for 2 at Copper Rock Golf Course in Hurricane and a $100 gas gift card. Starting Monday, the KSL Sports Zone will pair the top 25 players with a qualifier, and one will get the remaining field. Be caller number 12, and you will be assigned a player in the Masters. And if your player wins, you win. It's that simple. Copper Rock, where the pros play. All right, fired up for our next conversation. He is the next head coach at Weber State for the men's basketball team. We'll talk to him next. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
The Scotty G and Friends on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Here in a moment, we're going to chat with Kaleb Canales. He is the new head coach at Weber State, taking over that basketball program from Eric Duff. By the way, this segment brought to you by University of Utah Health. For you, for life, go to uofuhealth.org for more information. Weber State took their time trying to find their guy, did it a little under the radar, and now it is official. Kaleb Canales. And we'll talk to him a little bit, but certainly a lot of ties to Damian Lillard. Spent a lot of time from 2008 to essentially 2013 as a member of that staff there in Portland. So I'm sure Damian Lillard probably had to give the green light on this, and certainly probably comes with a strong recommendation from Damian.
Yeah, no doubt. From the outside, just what I was able to gather, I think Canales was the front runner from the very beginning. I do think, with the position Dame's in now, certainly taking a much larger role in selecting, so was a part of all of the meetings, and I do believe that there's a relationship there, so that would make sense.
I love the fact that you've got a NBA player that has the legacy that Damian Lillard has, and yet he is taken a very vested interest in this. Some guys, will say, "Oh yeah, I'm the GM of the," and they don't really do anything. They just like the title. But I got a sneaking suspicion Damian Lillard is very much involved in what's going on up there.
Yeah, Weaver's really important to him, right? It's his. It's where he became himself. It's the guy. He did it kind of like they did this search. Did it really quietly, but just was excellent through his time at Weber, and then. I think he got better than I certainly thought he could. And so, yeah, it's neat that he cares. It's also neat that he has, these ties that he takes care of guys. Somebody makes an impact on him and you throw him into the fray. I do know that if he's somebody that Dame feels good about, he's got to be good.
I remember calling a game. Randy Ray was the coach. And I'm sure you were on staff at BYU because it was about the time that it wasn't, I think Jimmer was on the team, but it wasn't Jimmer yet. And Weber State went down there, and I was helping out, filling in for the late, great Steve Klauke on a Weber State broadcast. And Damian just hung in there. And you guys eventually got the win, but it was a much closer game than I think a lot of people were anticipating. And there was a moment, and I still joke with Randy Ray when I see him about it, that Damian Lillard passed out of a good shot, and I can't remember what happened after that, but Randy Ray called timeout, and he lit into Damian Lillard. And I always have a hard time imagining a coach yelling at a player for not shooting. And he just ripped him and goes, "This is your team. This is your moment. You act like it." And I was like, wow. And this was, I think Damian was a freshman at that time. It was early in the Damian run, but I remember just being like, wow, this kid's going to be good if he's got a coach barking at him for not being overly selfish.
Yeah, and the cool part about the relationship there is, guys come to college and they go do their thing, but he's made Weber a big part of his life. Ogden's important to him. The program's important to him. And I still remember the very first time we went up to play there, and I think it was his sophomore year, and Randy met me. We'd always, he'd come down there, I'd wait and talk to him for a minute and vice versa. It's always awkward.
Yeah.
It's like you don't really want to do it, but you're friends, so you have to. But we were chatting, and he said, "Man, I'm telling you, I think this Lloyd kid has got a real chance." And that's what was popping on tape. So it was awesome to be a part of it, and it was also a part that Dame never beat us.
Yeah, there you go.
I have that claim to fame.
Joining us now, he's the head coach of Weber State, Kaleb Canales, kind enough to join us. Coach, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me, guys. I really appreciate the time.
Hey, we're fired up. Congratulations. What was it about this Weber State job that said, you know what, that's where I want to put down some roots?
Yeah, no, I'm extremely excited and thrilled, super honored and humbled. It just aligned where I am with my career, for my family, just a great community, a great state, super stoked about building a winner, having an identity on both ends of the floor, and connecting with the community.
Coach, you've been at this a long, long time, all the way back to Martin High School. I actually started as an assistant too, man. So, but you've been at it a long time, and you have, looks like you, much like we talked about Tommy Lloyd today, you've definitely taken your time learning the craft. What's one of the more important things you've learned in your time to prepare you for this opportunity?
Yeah, man, you really hit the heart with that one, man. So, no, listen, everyone's journey is different. I feel like I'm ready to lead and impact young men and young student athletes for our university and our program. And like you mentioned, it really is special. I mean, it's special anytime. I mean, you guys know, you guys been around. It's a true blessing for me to get this opportunity, an opportunity that I'm taking very serious, and want to build a winner here. And again, I think once we look back, we know as coaches, like the first time I walked in when I was the interim for the Blazers, and we beat the Bulls in Chicago. I didn't really appreciate it at the time. I appreciate it a little more now. So I'm sure down the road a little more, but it's truly special to get this opportunity here at Weber State.
So college coach, NBA, back to college. You G League as well. There is a wealth of experience that you have at your disposal. Yeah. What of all these, who do you draw from, and what experiences do you draw from in developing your head coaching philosophy and what you want to build?
Yeah, I think you mentioned him. I think I'm going to draw from every single coach I've ever been with, head coach and assistants, and, develop our own identity, have a great idea of how we want to play on both ends of the floor. We want to be highly connected on both ends. There is a formula that equals success. You have to play both ends at a high level. Obviously, defense wins championships, defense travels. The final four teams that are left, they're playing at a high level on both ends, which usually leads to winning and sustaining winning, and which is one of our goals here. But, with my experience, the guys I've been fortunate to coach over the years, I feel we're going to be the best place in the country to come and develop and win.
Coach, again, with your network as well, putting a staff together is obviously one of the first big pieces to the puzzle, and something with recruiting that's obviously timely. So I assume you've got some people in mind for that. Have you hired anyone yet, or do you have plans to hire anybody here in the next few days?
Yeah, no, the plan is definitely to hire, to have some conversations here. Have not hired anybody officially yet. But like I said, excited about some of the guys we've already talked to. And it's going to start with us. It's going to start with high-character men, loyal to the program, to the university, and to pour into our kids. Like I said, we want the absolute best for our kids on and off the floor. I know what development looks like at the highest level, and that's what we're going to teach here and show them, how to work and, how to win. So I'm really excited about that. I'm really excited about the staff. I really feel like building a staff is like building a basketball team. The chemistry and the connection needs to be there. I'm fortunate to have a big Rolodex enough to be able to get some great guys in here.
What's the world that you live in now as a college coach as opposed to what you dealt with obviously you were in college, then you go to the NBA, and now you come back to college and all hell's broken loose with the NIL and everything else that's gone along. How hard is this for you to try to adjust to?
No, not hard at all. I think, champions adjust. I think the one thing that basketball teaches you is, how to stay fluid and how to stay flexible and how to stay open, So we have a saying in our program that champions adjust, and we got to be ready for everything. And that's what we're doing. We're hitting the ground running, going to put the best possible team for the program, for the community to identify with. And our style of play and our brand of basketball is going to be fun to watch and fun to play with and connect with. So, like you mentioned it, I think the game's never been closer as it is today. They're still apart, but I think schematically and X's and O's, I won't bore you guys with that. But I think it's as close as it's ever been. There's still some subtle differences, but, we'll play to our strengths as a team for sure.
I'm curious, you come from Troy, and I've got I was on the wrong end of Scott Cross a couple times in my coaching career, and that dude can make you look horrible. Are you guys going to? I assume the pressure, will that be a part of the way that they get into you? That's part of how you want to guard.
Yeah, we want to be violent on the basketball for sure. Picking up our man, and like you said, Coach Cross has been one of my best friends. He's a mentor. That's going to last a lifetime. Obviously, I was fortunate enough to be his associate head coach, winning the Sun Belt Conference this year, winning the tournament, going to the NCAA and losing to Nebraska, which I still haven't seen that tape because it still kind of hurts. But
that killed me, man. I was right there for you guys.
But no, we had a great group, man. We had a special group that cared. I absolutely love those kids and wish them nothing but the best. But Coach Cross and me, we talk hoop time, and I'm gonna miss him, but I know he's fired up, for me and our family, and for this opportunity. He's gonna do great things at Georgia Tech. They're gonna win there, and they're gonna win big.
So you were at Portland for a good chunk of your career. I'm sure that you crossed over with Damian Lillard. He has so many ties to Weber State and still very actively involved with that program. Did you have a lot of conversations with him leading up to getting this job?
No, we've known each other for a long time. Obviously, when I was there as a coach, we drafted Damian and understand and absolutely love his passion and his love for the university, for the program. And I'm just really grateful and honored that, he's believing in us to take this team to the next level, into the next chapter in today's game. Like I said, I feel fully confident in the thing we're building. And obviously he's a big part of it. And he absolutely loves it. That you could have a conversation without him ever bringing up Weber State and his time here. And, that's something we absolutely love as a program.
And you have one of the cooler arenas. We call it the Purple Palace here locally. Purple Palace is what we call it. A lot of state tournaments played up there. But what were your thoughts on the facilities and getting up there and seeing things?
Yeah, no, like you said, we're gonna get that place rocking. It's gonna be home court advantage for us. We want our fans coming and being loud and getting into the game. And it's on us. It's on me to give them a brand of basketball that they're excited about. But yeah, we want it to be one of the hardest places to play in the country, and knowing that the opposing team's going to come in for a fight. And super excited, super stoked about the arena, the facilities, everything. Like I said, we just want to create a positive environment for these student athletes to flourish, and that's what we're going to create.
So let's go back in the time machine, back to 2001. You're an assistant at United High School in Laredo, Texas.
Okay.
Could you, if you had a conversation with your 2001 self, how surprised would he be with where you're at right now today?
Oh man, that's a great question. I had some crazy duties too during that year, I think, as a teacher and as a coach too. So, no, listen, my dream has always been to be a head coach. and I'm super grateful for the opportunity. I did not know what it was going to look like, like I said, but this is my story. This is my journey. And everybody's journey and path is different. And I'm just grateful for mine. And, I felt like, I've taken something from Coach Cross. I know he's a take the stairs guy, but I think my career, I've taken the stairs, so I'm pretty much grateful for every opportunity. And like I said, I'm going to attack this one full speed. And can't wait to get started.
I'm going to steal that line. Take the stairs guy. That's awesome.
Hey, they have that on their shirts. Like they came to the Marriott Center, right? They played us, and we watched them on film, and I was like, oh. And then when I saw them literally coming in and like, no, we don't need the elevator. We got this. And that's kind of what the score looked like too, Kaleb. It was not good, man. But you know what comes through to me? I coached for 16 years in college. I coached at the University of Utah, BYU. Your humility comes through, but your drive. So, look, man, we're thrilled for you, and I do think Weber State is built to be, what you're talking about. I think it can do that, and the best part about it is, man, it's your crack now. No more Martin High School where you gotta go do driver's ed and then get a kid worked out and then run out and make sure that the study hall's going and. You're gonna have one. You're gonna have one job.
Oh yeah, Coach. No, I appreciate it. And listen, I don't know how many games you guys been up before, but the doors are open for you guys. We'd love to have you guys. So.
Appreciate it. We'll take you up on that for sure. Thanks for your time, Coach. Congratulations,
good luck, Coach.
And get it rolling up there in Ogden.
Okay, appreciate you guys. Appreciate the time.
There he is, Kaleb Canales. That's a fired up guy. If you're a Weber State fan, you heard that. That's a likable dude right there.
A couple things stand out. Laredo, Texas. I mean, that's a tough spot, and, came up from Laredo.
I don't know my Texas geography very well.
Very south.
Yeah, it's a tough place. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Right near the border. So, I mean, it's a tough spot. But what I love about this dude is you talk about this all the time, Scotty. Don't skip steps.
Yeah.
This dude has, he's an assistant in high school. He was an assistant in college. He's been multiple times with so many different good coaches. I think they found a guy here. I like him.
Yeah, there you go. Kaleb Canales, new head coach at Weber State. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Mom, can you tell me a story?
Sure. Once upon a time, a mom needed a new car.
Was she brave?
She was tired, mostly. But she went to Carvana.com and found a great car at a great price. No secret treasure map required.
Did you have to fight a dragon?
Nope. She bought it 100% online. From her bed, actually.
Was it scary?
Honey, it was as unscary as car buying could be.
Did the car have a sunroof?
It did, actually.
Okay, good story.
Car buying you'll want to tell stories about. Buy your car today on
Carvana.
Delivery fees may apply.
You're listening to Scotty G and Friends on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Coming up, Jay Stevens will join us coming up in about 15 minutes from right now. We'll talk a little Mammoth with him. Take a look at some spring football coming up in about 30 minutes from right now. So this doesn't necessarily surprise me. The AP starting to hand out some college basketball awards. The margin of victory surprises me a little bit. Cam Boozer has been named the AP Freshman of the Year.
Wow.
Or actually, not Freshman of the Year, AP Player of the Year. So takes home all the hardware. And he received 59 out of a possible 61 votes.
Oof.
AJ got the other two.
Dang, that's pretty heavy.
But, I mean, that's a big number there.
Yeah, that's a landslide.
59 out of 61 first-place votes go to Cam Boozer.
That surprises me. Does it surprise you?
Oh, yeah. That's Now, it doesn't surprise me that he won it, but it does surprise me that he won it by that much.
No, right, yeah. I thought it would be more, 25, 30 votes for AJ.
See, I just saw this. By the way, this is our guy realizing don't do math on the radio. I saw your mind like, okay, I'm going to try to.
No, like 25, 30 votes.
Yeah.
35, 40 votes.
Yeah.
But closer.
35 votes to what?
Don't do it. Don't do it. It's 26.
Curious.
What do you mean 35 votes to what? It would be 65.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Don't
Good math right there.
Going
Utah education.
Well, I tripped, but then I had to go back to the tens place and subtract one.
So he wins the Player of the Year. Coach of the Year goes to the mayor, Fred Hoiberg. No shocker there.
No shocker at all. I mean, Nebraska never won a game in the tournament.
Yeah.
And he took them to the 16. Good to him.
He's a really good coach. I loved him as a player back in the day. He was like a poor man's. People don't remember Fred Hoiberg in the NBA. He was a poor man's Jeff Hornacek. Not just because he went to Iowa State like Jeff did, but kind of the same type of game. Good shooter. Injuries kind of ended his career a little earlier than it should have. But, yeah, heck of a player.
He was just one of those solid guys, and he's been a solid coach. We played them when he was at Iowa State, and that was one of the bigger tush kickings we ever received out there in Ames.
Ames.
It's a hard place to play.
Nobody really likes going to Ames anyway, is it? Is that just a college town? I've
No,
never been to Ames.
Ames is the Laramie of Iowa.
Really?
I mean, there was nothing else out there. But maybe that's just Iowa.
Yeah.
I mean, and no offense to anybody. I'm sure you're lovely people, but your state, however, is not.
And as we mentioned to kick off the show, Tommy Lloyd will not be leaving Arizona to go to North Carolina. He will stay put and continue to be the head coach of Arizona. I think North Carolina is a great job. Make no mistake. It's a blue blood, tons of history out there. I do think in this day and age of college athletics, they do have some unrealistic expectations out there. And they just fired a beloved alum in Hubert Davis. So if you're at Arizona, you're in the Big 12, which is a ridiculously difficult conference to be in, but you're never really going to have to compete with football. It'll always be a basketball school. Football can pop up from time to time, but it'll always be basketball. You'll always be the center of attention. You'll always receive probably the majority of the NIL. And as long as you can keep that thing humming along and Arizona State keeps being a dumpster fire, then you can control the state. And that western part of the United States, in terms of recruiting, you're not competing with a lot of people out on this side of the country. It just makes a lot of sense.
And North Carolina still carries some weight because of Jordan and the baby blue.
Yeah.
But you're right. Like, BYU's considered a blue blood now because they have the resources that, you know, the reason those teams were considered blue bloods before is because they were finding ways to compensate the best players in the world to come and play for them. And, you know, there was a select few that really grew up above the rest. That whole thing's been knocked to the ground now. And, you know, like Canales at Weber State can offer a kid money, you know, and if it makes sense to him, and not the type of money they can at North Carolina, but the bottom line is the cat's out of the bag. People are getting money. Players are still going to try to find the best situation, but it's about the coach who can prepare them the best and the money.
Yeah, it really is.
Period.
And not necessarily in that order.
And it's not facilities, it's not gear, it's not shoot, none of that anymore.
Yeah.
That's what it used to be.
Nobody talks about it's a Nike school. Nobody talks about it's these locker rooms, each one of them will have a PlayStation in it for you. You know, all this. Nobody cares about that. If you pay a kid enough, he'll play in a barn in Tooele. It doesn't matter.
Well, I think A.J. DeBonce has proven that, right? Like, that was look, I know BYU did an awesome job of building a relationship, and he did not come here strictly for money. But the money had to have been similar.
Money had to be there.
And it had to be there, or else he wouldn't have come. So, yeah, he basically came to a place no top-level player like that level. You know, Jimmer Fredette obviously was the college player of the year, but came in as a two-star guy. This guy came in, you know, being the number one player of the draft and choose Provo.
Who was the kid? I'm embarrassed that I'm spacing his name. The kid that ended up playing at Duke and didn't have the NBA career.
Jabari Parker?
Yeah, Jabari Parker. Did you ever feel like you had a shot there?
I just love that you forgot his name.
I know, right?
It makes me so happy.
And by the way, have you recently seen his picture of his knee? The surgeries?
No. No, I don't wish that
I'm
on
going to send
anybody.
it to you, and it's the most diced up knee you've ever seen.
Oh,
it's
poor
crazy.
kid.
Oh, that's too bad. Yeah, I mean, there's no sure thing, but yeah, exactly. We got him to come on a visit.
Yeah.
But it wasn't for currency. It was for spiritual currency.
Yes. Are you saying that there were schools out there at that time that were offering him money?
They just might have. Even that overlord at Duke was doing the deal. Can you believe it?
No.
Doing Amex commercials and deals in the parking lot.
Wow. Interesting. So when you ran into that in recruiting, how hard was it just to be like, well, I guess, you knew that BYU would be willing to if it was legal, which they have. And as soon as it became legal, BYU's like, all right, it's legal. We're going to be a player in all of this. But how many times would you run into a recruit and eventually there'd be an AAU coach or somebody out there like, okay, let's get to the real issue here. How much are you going to give my kid?
You kind of had to know that going in. That's why I used to talk about like recruiting was like fishing licenses in certain ponds, and we just knew what ponds we could fish in.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? There was just, you weren't going to do a deal with the Oakland Soldiers. You just weren't. I mean, you knew what was on the other side of the table. So, I mean, there was so much, there were so many good players that weren't affiliated, and that was really kind of our goal, was to find guys that wanted to be in Provo, number one, and then, that could really play and not be perhaps swayed to go somewhere else for other reasons.
Do you feel like there might be a return to the mean for BYU coming up in recruiting? I mean, obviously, you're going to go after the big-name kids, even if they're one and done, but how you build the team from 3 to 12 might be a little bit different.
I think that's going to be every year, in every system, because you're trying to get it right 1 year at a time. There's so little building. So I guess to answer your question, the more you could actually bring in and build and kind of have some idea of what you have in inventory, as opposed to always having to go out shopping every year. And you look at the Jazz this year, development can happen with reps, with a ton of coaching. So, I would not be surprised if it returned to more. I guess there were some guys on the team this year that I just felt like maybe mercenaries, right?
Yeah.
And I think you can avoid that and just go get guys that you can develop for a couple of years at a time. I think it would make more sense.
Get old, stay old, man.
Get old, stay. I don't think that's changed much.
No.
And the cool part for BYU is they bridge the gap. They got Yegor, high-level guy, international guy. Like I talked about with Tommy Lloyd, they brought him over here. He had a storybook, career, 8 months at BYU, and then went to the draft, and he's done great things. So that worked. Obviously, AJ's now going through his, and they've got Bruce Branch signed up for next year right behind that. So the key to it all is you got to have that high-level guy too. I mean, all these components matter, but the cool part is they've really locked in that high-level thing, and now it's just how do we sprinkle the roster to make us, be able to play longer than we did this year.
Jay Stevens is going to join us next. We'll talk a little spring football coming up in about 30 minutes from now. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Believe it or not, this guy actually has friends. Nice. This is Scotty G and Friends on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Back the other way come the Kraken with Bobby McMahon. Puck in front of Amelka. Bouncing around and they score! It's McMahon once again. They are loving him here in Seattle. It's 2-0. Schmaltz gains the line with Gunther. Schmaltz all the way across. Cooley looks in. Shoots and scores! Another power play goal. That one coming from Logan Cooley with sniper precision from up high. Uyghur scanning. Sends this off the glass. Gunther collects and moves it back to Sergachev as Utah continues to cycle the puck. Uyghur overlaps with Sergachev. Feeds one in front. Rebound. They score. And guess who? Logan Cooley's got his second of the game. And we're tied at 2.
2 goals there by Cooley, and then 4 more added by the team as the Mammoth get the 6-2 convincing victory over the Seattle Kraken. Joining us now, one of our favorites, Jay Stevens, host of the Utah Puck Report. Jay, the Mammoth wanted to get that game. Seattle had to have that game. And the fact that they took him behind the whooping shed and just let him have it last night, just how impressed were you with that team?
I was really impressed by just not only the end score, but you had to admit you were a little nervous when they went down 2-0.
Oh, yeah.
And then it could have been 3-1, an amazing coach's challenge. You know that when Torini makes that challenge, you know he already knows that he's going to win it. I mean, he's very casual with those, but he hardly ever pulls the trigger on a challenge. So you know if he pulls the trigger, he knows what he's doing. But yeah, the rest of the game was just amazing. It was really good to watch. The lines are clicking. You know, they really did some retooling with the lines. That fourth line with Tanev and Kerfoot out there, it's surprising me how good that fourth line is at just being greasy. Stenlin's on that line with them, and they just don't take any hits. They've been matched up against other fourth lines, and they just seem to be having their way the last 2 games. So some brilliant things going on for the Utah Mammoth right now.
Jay, did you feel like, I mean, that game could have been a real good simulation for a playoff, with them nipping at the Mammoth's heels, and then, as you said, to get down. But what has struck me about this team is that really the success of this year has been they really haven't had that big, long slide. They've had some down times, they've had some tough times, but they've always rallied. Felt like last night it just meant a little more.
Yeah, and it's gonna keep getting that way. I felt the same way about the LA game, with LA chasing and being in and out of that other wild card spot. It's these are the intense games that people talk about, and it's just gonna get more and more intense. The games matter for almost everybody that the Mammoth play for the rest of the way out. I think Calgary and Vancouver are the only two of the next 7 games that don't really matter to the other team as far as playoff chases. But yeah, you watch this team and you realize that all this potential that they've had up front, this high potent offense that everybody's known they've had, they just haven't, like last year and early this season, they weren't really exploding the way you wanted them to. I think bringing in Uyghur, who's a real quick at getting the puck out of the defensive zone, just gave them that little extra push they needed to get pucks moving fast. So now you've got Sergey and you've got Marino and you got the veteran and Ian Cole on the back end just doing really good things on the defensive zone. I thought it was crazy last night that the statistically the best defensemen for the Mammoth were the ones that were on the ice for both goals against. And that's Schmidt and John Marino, who have just had a stellar year. I think they're plus 35 or maybe plus 33 now. So yeah, I think they've really built the team the way they wanted to build it so they could start exploring and seeing how much more offense they could get with this quick trigger defense that they have.
3 for 6 on power plays last night. 3 goals scored on power plays. Just really impressive to watch, especially as they got themselves back into this game. What's been the recent surge of this team in being so effective in the power play?
To just put it bluntly, it's shots from the point. And the shots from the point have opened up the bumper. It's something that Torini's been yelling about for a long time. And if you go back and look, I was just looking back 4 games now. With the power play, they've got 8 of their last 15 attempts, so they're better than 50% in the last 4 games. The PK has killed 18 of their last 19 penalties over 4 games. So the special teams are really clicking, and we've been talking about it. Probably every time I'm on the show, I say the power play has to get better. Playoffs are won and lost with special teams. And I've watched the practices and I watch them work that bumper. But what's really worked, you saw a bumper goal last night. I think it was Schmaltz got a bumper goal, but they start getting shots from the point. So as they're moving the puck more, the defense has to kind of get out and challenge shots more. Now they don't know that the Mammoth are just going to try for that down low bumper play because you've got Sergey firing shots from the point more, and you've got Uyghur's been throwing shots from the point. So once the defense pulls out to them, that creates that down low opening that they've been looking for all year. I think that's the difference is they're finally getting shots from the point. And then if they don't score on that point or they create the chaos there, it starts to create the chaos. And then you get an open guy in the middle, which is that bumper play. And you're going to start to see that work a little bit more. So what I've been preaching all year is the same thing that I've heard Torini preaching all year, and that's to shoot more. And you're starting to see the Mammoth actually really do that. And the proof's in the pudding, as the saying goes. They're starting to get those goals.
So 7 games left with a 5-game cushion over the Chase Pack. And the beautiful part of this 7-game stretch is just 2 on the road. How big is that?
Yeah, it should be good. The Mammoth have struggled at home. And if you look at 2 of the home games, Edmonton is a tough game for Utah at home. I'm not going to say that's a scheduled loss, but that's a team they've never beaten. And then one of the best teams out of the East, which has clearly been kind of one of the best conferences, Carolina comes into town, and Carolina is a beast. They're a lot like Colorado. They've got great goaltending. They're really shut down high-flying offenses. They really push guys to the outside. So those 2 games at home are going to be a real struggle for them. But tomorrow in Vancouver, they should beat Vancouver. Vancouver did just put up 8 on Colorado the other night.
I saw that.
Which, nobody saw that coming. But then Edmonton, Nashville, Carolina at home. They go to Calgary for one. They should pick that up and then finish at home with Winnipeg and St. Louis. I hate to say it, but I think both those games are still going to matter that last week, those last couple days. I think it's the Mammoth fans are going to be on the edge of their seats. The Western Conference, that wild card spot is it's highly contested, and there's a lot of teams within striking range. So the Mammoth just have to, I think they have to win 5 out of the 7. They'll be fine. I think 4 out of the 7 they could be fine. But I expect them to put up some pretty good numbers here.
So I was looking at the stats from last night, and Utah had 20, I want to say turnovers, but giveaways. Seattle only had 11. And so I was looking at, and so I thought, okay, well, where do they rank? Utah's 7th in the NHL in giveaways per game. Now, Carolina's up there as well. So good teams are still in that same kind of ballpark, but is that a concerning stat to you, or is that something that isn't necessarily an overly big issue?
It's definitely going to be a big issue in the playoffs. It's not as important during the regular season. I mean, obviously, puck possession is a big deal, but what's happening is our giveaways are, from them. The Mammoth try to be really creative in the offensive zone. You see some really cool passes. You see a lot of, things that work in practice that might not work every game. And then you see them get bumped off pucks when they're in the offensive zone, when they get up against those bigger defense. That's where most of those turnovers come over. What I'd be really worried about if there were defensive zone turnovers or blue line turnovers, the Mammoth have been pretty clean with that. Like the biggest sins you can do in hockey are blue line turnovers, because the whole team's going the other way. And when you turn one over, it usually is an odd man rush the other way. So, and the Mammoth have been pretty good at blue line turnovers. I think most of the turnovers that you're seeing there, the giveaways, are in the offensive zone, with them just being over creative. And I think you'll see that shut down quite a bit during the playoffs. You'll see, they're still going to want to shoot more. They're still going to need to be creative, but they're going to have to really pick their spots during the playoffs, because it's going to be, every spot's going to be a battle to get to. And when you get there, you just got to shoot. So I think they're going to do all right with these turnovers. I don't think it's going to be as big as an issue as it is during the regular season.
Jay, I thought last night, and this is obviously big anytime, but Seattle, one of the things they do really well is avoid penalty. And the Mammoth are top 10 in penalty. I thought the penalty minutes, as you mentioned last night, the ability, to not be in there a bunch, I think just 6 minutes, and then to take advantage of the 12 minutes, to be able to score on 3 of those 6 power plays. I thought that was huge last night.
Yeah, me too. And that really was kind of some of the turning point, right? That's where you got some of the space in the score, and to see them get those power play goals is a big deal. Discipline's been an issue, and it's one of the things that I watch as I'm watching the game live. I watch all the comments too. And when they gave up the first 2 goals and it was looking like they were going to get penalties, fans were freaking out. Oh, this team's undisciplined, blah, 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 blah. But, and there is some of that, right? But as the season's gone on, I think the Mammoth have really done a better job at getting penalties. And one of the most penalized guys on the team is Ian Cole, which is usually a penalty that prevents a goal or prevents an odd man rush, where he's covering basically, or he'll take a penalty to get a face-off in the zone. So some of those penalties are kind of misleading, because some of them are necessary penalties. Right. But I think you are seeing more discipline. I think you're seeing a lot more maturity since the Olympic break, actually. I don't know what it was, but I think Keller's playing way more mature. I think Cooley's playing way more mature. And I think you're going to see that just keep progressing into playoffs.
Any update on Jack McBain?
I didn't see one, but they did call up another forward. So I'm not – they pulled up another guy from Tucson, so I'm not really sure what's going on with Jack McBain. I kind of tried to look at where that puck hit him. I didn't see if it hit him at the back of the knee or the back of the calf. Either way, there's not a lot of padding back there when he went down to block that shot, so you're going to have swelling. I can't see there being a break or anything, but I could see them, that swelling in your calf or on your knee, that's going to set you back at least a game.
All right, so we're talking about penalties. I was thinking about this last night. So hockey players, you guys are beat to hell all the time. I can't imagine there's cuts, there's bruises, there's scabs everywhere. So if you take a high stick, how hard is it to create blood even if there's no blood there? You know what I mean? Fake a little blood so you get the double minor?
I used to hear stories about that all the time, like the WWE, like guys would bite their lip or something to grab that extra penalty. I've never personally seen it, but there are a lot of times. Like I know when I'm playing, when I get through a season, especially if you're playing a lot of games back to back, like in a tournament style, like we used to have, and I'll take a couple shots off the mask that'll give me a fat lip, and a lot of players have fat lips, so all you gotta do is kind of suck on it for a second to get that blood going again. I've never really seen it happen, but you're right. The further you go in playoffs, the easier it is to find someplace on your face that's already cut. But again, that's where the whole beard thing started for playoffs. Is guys were just getting sick of having all these little cuts and nicks all over their face where they were clean shaven. And famously in New Jersey, Lou Lamoriello makes all his guys be clean shaven. And they're finally like, no, we're not doing it during the playoffs. We're growing a beard. And which is weird from a medic standpoint. I'm like, well, you can't suture that. You can't just put some super glue in there or some Dermabond. But there's always nicks and cuts on your face.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I keep super glue in my hockey bag. I can't tell you how many guys on my men's league team. I'm on 2 men's league teams. One of them is a bunch of doctors, and the other one's just a bunch of former pros and colleges. And I super glue all of them all the time. Like when they get cut, I just dry it off, throw some super glue on there, you're good to go.
I love it. See, these guys are tough, man. This is a tough guy. But, it's interesting. I mean, I know the game, for all intents and purposes, was out of reach at that point. But when that double minor was hit on Seattle with 5.5 minutes left, and you got a 4-minute penalty, it's like the game's. I mean, that put the game. That was the death knell right there. You're not coming back at that point. And so if it's a 1-goal game or a 2-goal game, and you have a chance to really run out the clock, I could see a guy finding a way to create a little bit of blood to try to get those extra 2 minutes.
Whatever it takes to win, baby. They're going to do it. But and that was great last night too. And what was great about the end of the game that way, you got to see a lot of the third and fourth lines. You weren't seeing 1 and 2 out there. You're seeing 3 and 4 out there. Carcone gets one off his back. So you just love to see the third and fourth line get rewarded like that at the end of the game.
Vancouver's had their struggles. You mentioned they put up 8 against Colorado, but I'm not getting ahead of trying to get ahead of things, but if this team comes back off this 3-game road trip with 6 points, that's got to be a ton of confidence going into this home stretch.
Yeah, you'd think so. Any points you could get at this point, you keep watching the LA Kings. They've had 30 games go into overtime this season.
Yeah.
And to have, I think they have 20 points from overtime losses. It's unheard of. So man, you got to get every point you can. Everybody's scrapping. So they've got to take advantage of this game in Vancouver. Then they're home against Edmonton. That's the next game is Tuesday night the 7th against Edmonton. And that's going to be a game. If they can get 2 points against Edmonton, because I think most sports writers have said that's an Edmonton win already. So if they can pick up those points, they're going to really put some space and make it harder for the teams that are chasing. And just let them all fight for wild card 2 and just keep wild card 1 and move on.
As we go down the stretch of the season, we've been talking to Jay a lot. So now it's time for injury update on Jay Stevens. How are you holding up? Are you close to getting between the pipes again?
No, I won't be in the pipes until probably June, which gets me closer to one of my favorite tournaments. But I'm feeling great today. I'm going to the gym right after this for the second time since my surgery. I plan on doing a full workout. I plan on shaving and enjoying myself at the gym.
No shame.
Yeah, but I'm on IR, so I'm not in the playoffs. I gotta look pretty.
Gotta get that. You get a replacement surgery like that and get back out on the ice that quick or back in the gym, you're having yourself a hell of a recovery there, man. Good job. That's awesome.
I'm telling you, these doctors are amazing now. And I feel great. I haven't left my house really, but I'm going to start leaving my house today. Today's the day. 2.5 weeks out. I feel great.
Jay, you're the best, man. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, guys. Look forward to hearing from you.
All right, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. That's Tim LaComb. I'm Scott Gerard. Hope you're having a tremendous Friday as we get you ready for the weekend. We'll talk some spring football coming up next. What kind of steps can Bear Bachmeier make from year 1 to year 2? A lot of confidence brewing down in Provo. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Mom, can you tell me a story?
Sure. Once upon a time, a mom needed a new car.
Was she brave?
She was tired, mostly. But she went to Carvana.com and found a great car at a great price. No secret treasure map required.
Did you have to fight a dragon?
Nope, she bought it 100% online. From her bed, actually.
Was it scary?
Honey, it was as unscary as car buying could be.
Did the car have a sunroof?
It did, actually.
Okay, good story.
Car buying you'll want to tell stories about. Buy your car today on
Carvana.
Delivery fees may apply.
On to Scotty G and Friends on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
This segment brought to you by U of U Health. For you, for life. uofuhealth.org. Scott Gerard alongside Tim LaComb. Hey, you know what? We love basketball. We love the Final Four, playoffs in the NBA just around the corner. But, Tim, it's always football season.
It's always football season.
It's always football season. All right, so BYU coming off a ridiculously good year. They lose their defensive coordinator in Jay Hill. However, they still have key members of that team still in place. So you've got Bear Bachmeier going from year 1 to year 2. I think the sky's the limit on this kid. I think where they're at from a tight end situation, I think they have a chance to be really good in that regard. I think the passing game is going to be okay from a wide receiver standpoint. That's my big question mark with them. But other than that, I think BYU's got a chance to have another good year this year.
Well, the biggest thing I think, obviously, out of the gate was Martin, right? Saying, I'm going to be back. And that's what every year I look, first thing I look at football is a quarterback coming back because there's just so much continuity. And in BYU's case, that's happening. And he had a phenomenal year. Now it's not anything. I don't think there's anything more he needs to do but refine his approach. His ability to come in with no fanfare whatsoever. I mean, it was a year ago now that we're talking about the fact that, man, if BYU just had a quarterback, they've got everything else. And I think it surprised the heck out of a ton of people the way he came in. But it was, he had the benefit of a really solid line in front of him. He had L.J. Martin obviously behind him, and then his targets last year, be able to throw the ball over the field. So I feel like it was almost like the team kind of buoyed him up, but there is something special about his intangibles.
When you see a guy come in as a freshman and take control of a locker room, and I think that there are things that can transcend sports. So whether it's football, basketball, or whatever, there's certain guys that have that kind of MO where they can walk in and all of a sudden, even though they're a freshman, kind of take control and be the BMOC. You can't coach that. I mean, that's stuff that you're born with.
No, you can go in there and fake it.
Yeah,
right?
Oh yeah, and a lot of guys do.
But he went in and did it, and then he threw for over 3,000 yards and 15 touchdowns. Turnovers, that was another thing. I felt like he really did a nice job. I mean, late as the competition got tougher, made some mistakes, but every quarterback does. I just think they have such a nice template, and they're going to miss Jay Hill. There's no question about that. Yeah. But I do think Popinga, I mean, he's another guy like we talked with Kaleb Canales, the new coach at Weber State, who's been cutting his teeth forever. I mean, I've seen Popinga run through the end zone to get up to halftime when I've got recruits in the stands, more times than I can count. And every time it was in a different position, as an intern, and he's worked his way up. I've heard nothing but great things, and Kalani's certainly really comfortable with him. So I think BYU picks up where they left off. Defense should be solid with the linebacking crew they've got coming back. And I'm with you. I think JoJo Phillips, obviously, and Casper are the two receivers right now.
Casper's going to be interesting to watch. The thing that really throws me for a loop is that Casper's dad played for the Broncos, and he was a practice squad guy, or actually was a guy that was an undrafted. I don't know if he was undrafted free agent or not, but he was floating around, and to make ends meet, he was working at a Subway. And I remember it was a big story because he was like back in the day when they called him the sandwich artist. And they called him the artist on that team because he was working at Subway to get himself still in a position where he could make a little bit of money but still be available at a minute's notice to go join an NFL team.
That's quite a variety of talents. Catch the ball and give me a BLT with no mayo.
Yeah, extra mayo.
You're extra.
Yeah.
That's why you're. We got to talk about that. Your
me a little-
arteries are
give me-
screaming for mercy.
Give me a little Miracle Whip.
Oh, you
that
shut
little
your mouth.
That little sweet miracle. Ooh.
No.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that tang.
So good.
Am I
Timmy, my man.
Am I being outnumbered here?
I think so.
Oh no, that's trouble.
I used to always be the only Miracle Whip guy on the show. So yeah.
Okay, so from sandwiches back to BYU.
Yes,
Let me
sorry.
just finish one thought.
Yes.
And Kalani's been through the fire. I mean, there were several times, when he was getting started and trying to get everything grounded, that he had to fight some upswells and things like that. But he is now firmly in command. I think he's got a great pulse on his staff. I think they've got a great pulse on him. BYU jumped into spending a little bit more money last year on football, and I think that'll continue. But I don't see anything that would lead me to not be optimistic for BYU next year and what they can do.
So the thing that I really love about, I don't know why my Siri is going off there. I think that when you look at this BYU team and you look at Kalani Sitake, there's been so many yeah buts with Kalani Sitake. It's like, well, yeah, but this and yeah, but, and it was always like everybody was finding a way to try to run Kalani Sitake out of town, and not maybe as verbose as that or as aggressive as that, but there was always like, okay, well, he did this, but there was this, or he did this, but here's the thing. He's done it year in and year out. He had a couple of years that got away from him a little bit, but since he's been in the Big 12, they've been nothing but incredible over these last 2 years. And the fact they're coming off a 12-2 season, just a remarkable season by this squad, by this coaching staff. The Jay Hill hire was brilliant, and it got them going defensively. The only but on Kalani Sitake is, how is this team going to be minus Jay Hill? Because the guy that's got the most pressure on him going into this upcoming season in the state of Utah is Morgan Scalley. Number 2, Kelly Papinga, defensive coordinator at BYU. And look, I remember Kelly when he was playing linebacker at Utah State right out of high school before going on a mission and then transferring down to BYU. Like, I've been around this dude for a long time. I think he's up for it. Frankly, I think Morgan's up for it at the University of Utah. But make no mistake, if there is any kind of slippage whatsoever for that BYU defense, even though they may have lost a key player or two, people are going to be like, okay, we have a standard here with Jay Hill. You have to keep that standard.
I think that's fair because that was the reason it got away from Kalani, right? The defense just was not competitive there for a couple of years, but when Jay came in, and even with the uptick in competition.
Yeah.
The defense became not just solid, but a real
elite
strength. And last year started sacking the quarterback too. But I would say offensively for Bear, I think one thing he can improve on is when they get into the red zone, they get touchdowns. And last year, they finished 48th in the country. I think there's some room to grow there.
Oh, yeah. No, you need to be in that 55. Well, actually, if you get closer to 60, then you're having yourself a hell of a season.
Right.
Under 50%'s no bueno. But I think that's one thing that BYU certainly can look at. But, you go at the defensive side about you average 32 points a game. You're outscoring your opponents 31-19. That one game against Texas Tech and then the follow-up game against Texas Tech, that team just had your number. And some teams, that just happens. Texas Tech, that was a college football playoff team. Elite defense, BYU couldn't get any offense going whatsoever. You're going to go into this offseason saying, what did Texas Tech do? Because everybody else is going to look at that
They're
film.
reacting to Texas. Yeah, exactly.
So they're going to say, okay, the book's out on BYU. We got to replicate. Now, you may not have the horses to do what Texas Tech did, but schematically, everybody's going to look at that and say, okay, we got to replicate that. And so Bear Bachmeier's got some work ahead of him because he knows people are going to adjust. We talk about the sophomore slump all the time in terms of a freshman can come out for a big season, and then all of a sudden the book gets out on him, and everybody's like, okay, all right, time to we're not going to let that happen again. You've seen it time and time again.
Walker Kessler went through a tough second year after coming in and really taking the world by storm. But I also think with that, there's a bunch of expectations that creep up too, and then they're like, but people are people, and growth is not linear.
No, and that's a problem with our society. We build people up, put them on a pedestal, and then we rip them down and shred them up when they don't live up to the standards that we set for them. So, I mean, it's not particularly fair, but that's sports, and that's the quarterback position at BYU. You know what you sign up for when you take that job.
And then, with him, there's just the exciting part is he's so young, and he had such success early that, in speaking of Bear, that, they really have something to rally around. They've got a run game. Hopefully the defense can stay solid, but I think BYU's looking to be, right up there again with Texas Tech next year.
Utah had a remarkable season as well, but the biggest story that we've seen in, I don't know, Lloyd, maybe 10, 15 years is the fact that a Utah football team is going to be led by somebody not named Kyle Whittingham. And he's anchored that sideline since 2005. Now he's going to be at Michigan. That is one of the biggest storylines going into a college football season that I can remember in my 20 years working in this market. All eyes on Morgan, all eyes on that program. He's got pressure on him. Mark Harlan's got pressure on him. Everybody's going to be comparing what he does to what's going on at the University of Michigan with so many players over there and so many members of that coaching staff going over there. It's not fair, but it's real. And that's the world Morgan signed up for. And I love Morgan to death. I root for people. I don't necessarily root for schools or universities. I root for people. And Morgan's an impossible guy not to root for. So am I rooting for him to be successful? Yes. But that's because of Morgan Scalley, the person. Not necessarily, I'm not rah-rah Utah fan. I just want Morgan Scalley because that's a hell of a situation as a coach. I mean, you've been around the coaching world a long time. To take over a job like that, and after a year that Utah had a really good season, and you got to keep that level of trajectory up, and where you've got to be in the situation where people want you competing for Big 12 titles year in and year out. You better find a way to beat BYU. You better do this. You better do this. All right, well, there's no honeymoon phase here for Morgan.
And the best part about it is I think that Morgan, he understands all that, and you just have to listen to his media availability. And I can tell you this, he's not fazed by it. He's still Morgan Scalley. And, the beauty is that I do really believe that he, much like, we've talked about guys that have waited their turn, Tommy Lloyd, all those years. But, this is an opportunity for Morgan to step out, much like Witt did, behind the shadow of Urban, and become the guy. And really this year, it's not fair if you don't call it anything other than a retool. I mean, it has to be some sort of retool here because you are, in effect, going out on the field for the first time in 20-plus years without a certain guy there that's kind of running things. So I think the story of Utah this year is way less about the guys playing the game, and they're going to have, they've got solid pieces back. Wayshawn Parker lit it up last year, and hopefully he'll be back. This is now a Morgan Scalley and my Morgan Scalley program, and can Morgan Scalley take this program and continue to do what's been done for so long?
All right, so BYU, and again, this isn't fair. We're not even all the way through spring ball yet, so we're not even at fall camp. We don't know what the injuries are going to look like. BYU last year 12-2. Their only 2 losses on the season were to Texas Tech. If BYU is and Lloyd, I want you to jump in on this too. And this is just spur of the moment. We're not breaking down schedules. Let's just spitball here a little bit. BYU goes 10-2 again next year. Is that a successful season for BYU, or should they expect more?
Oh, that's a successful.
That's a
season.
successful.
Absolutely,
season.
right?
Absolutely, yes.
Absolutely.
You'll take that.
But you don't
every day of the week.
But you don't win a Big 12 title.
Well, there'll be some bloggers that say it's not good enough, and there'll be some, high-level boosters that really get their jollies out of winning league championships. But 12-2, I don't care where you play that. That's a great season.
All right. So let's go to Utah. Also just a 2-loss team. But one of those was to BYU and Texas Tech, the same team that beat BYU twice. So let's say Utah goes 10-2 in the first Morgan Scalley, but one of those losses is to BYU, and another loss to another good team, but it keeps you out of the Big 12 title game. That should be considered a successful season. However, if you lose to BYU in one of those 2 losses, I'm sure there'll still be people grumpy about that too.
You're going to be grumpy, but guess what? Kyle Whittingham hasn't beaten BYU in the last little bit, so I think you'll be fine. You'll be happy with the wins if you're a Utah fan. I think you're absolutely to have that transition. The win against BYU, it will happen. I mean, eventually, Utah had their long streak against BYU, and guess what? All things come to an end. So you will get that eventually. But Morgan coming in and doing that with all the pressure on him, and the turnover in staff, players leaving, bolting, keeping some. I think you take that easily. That's not even a question.
All right, so
I even think you could probably go less, and I think you still have success.
That's my question here. What's the number for Morgan where people are like, "Eeh"? So is it 8 wins? Is it 7 wins? Where's the number where there's some fans out there start chirping? I think it's at 8, honestly, and that's not fair either.
Under anything.
So let's say 8 and a loss to BYU.
People be grumpy if 8.
They'll be grumpy, but I think they'll understand.
Yeah, you got to understand.
I think they'll understand. But if you're under 8, if you have a 7-win season, the heat is already. Oh my gosh, what's going on?
So that's the number. That's a magic number.
Yes.
8. You got to have 8.
Yeah.
And this is what I will say. I don't. We'll get into more of the fixtures and who's going to be there and who's not. But this really is. Can Morgan continue the culture? Can Morgan continue the excellence? He can continue getting great players to come. And that's the name of the game. But I will say.
And by the way, Tim, and with that, it's not necessarily about him getting great players to come, which, he can have an impact.
No, it's not.
It's money.
Yeah, it's
money.
money.
It's money. It's what can you bring in money-wise.
That's right. And I do know he's busting his tail. I don't think he takes a night off every time
He did just donate $2 million.
I saw that.
Yeah.
And hey, if you're gonna expect it, you got to give it. But I give a high vote of confidence. You guys know him too. But this guy will get the job done.
But, this is also a team that last year gave up. Now, we all remember the Kansas State and Kansas games where they gave up 472 yards rushing to K-State. They gave up 290 to Kansas, but also they gave up 261 to West Virginia. They gave up 202 yards rushing to BYU. Like, it's not like Kyle Whittingham left this,
Exactly.
Well-run defensive machine. Now, you could say Morgan Scalley was in charge of that defense, but let's be honest here. It's Kyle. Kyle's going to run what Kyle wants to run. So there's some work to do defensively. And you lose some of the key players off that defense from last year, but those numbers are not no bueno. 4.83 yards a carry. I don't think there has ever been a Kyle Whittingham team that you go back to the year before, 3.84. Year before that, 3.12. Year before that, 3.9. Year before that, 3.7. Year before that, 3.8. We're talking years that they haven't even been above 4, and they were way closer to 5 than they were 4. That can't happen. And so if you carry over some defensive issues from last year's team, because we all remember that Kansas and Kansas State games, if that carries over into this season, then and you're a 7-8 win team, yeah, there's going to be some barbarians at the gate.
And by the way, teams are going to test that defense early because it took a little while for them to figure out. Our good friend, Mr. Matt Wells, is the one that laid that blueprint for how to get after that defense. But I think there were little spatterings through the season where you saw some of those big type plays, and nobody just really caught on to it until Kansas State was like, "We're going to do this, and this is how we're going to beat them."
There were, multiple runs where guys didn't get touched in that game. It was like, whoop. Tell me about Kevin McGiven, because I
love Kevin McGiven.
And I really do like the idea that Utah might actually be imaginative on offense.
Well, look, Jason Beck.
No, Jason Beck did a great job.
Yeah, but Kevin McGiven is, and the thing I love about Kevin McGiven, you look at all the stops that he's made. We joked about having the Tommy Lloyd. That's his system. I'm not even sure what a Kevin McGiven system is, because he adapts it year to year to his talent that he has available to him.
Which I love.
Oh, I do too. And so the fact is, I'm not even sure if Kevin McGiven drew up a perfect offense, what that would look like, because every year is a little different. Last year at Utah State, and look, you know what? Love calling those games. Love my guys up there. That offensive line was atrocious. It was awful. And poor Bryson Barnes was running for his life up there. And the fact is, he said, okay, these are my issues I have with my offensive line. I'm going to scheme around it. And Utah State was phenomenal offensively from a statistic standpoint because Kevin McGivern was able to scheme away from his weaknesses. We talk about scheming towards your strengths. He was able to out-scheme his issues that he had with that team. Now, granted, they still gave up a ton of sacks, and Bryson Barnes, I still don't know how he made through it that season without serious health issues. But what he was able to accomplish and the points they were able to score in those games, it shows me all I need to know about Kevin McGivern. Now you go into a situation where I know there's a lot of big losses on that offensive line for the University of Utah, but you're going to have a solid offensive line because you always have one at the University of Utah. You've got a dynamic quarterback. You've got another dynamic quarterback who you can do all kinds of stuff with him as a Swiss Army knife. You've got a really good receiver in Pagan. You've got other good receivers. Honestly, I think this Utah offense could be scary good this year.
I do too, but it is going to be really important in the trenches because that was the very, very biggest strength of last year's team was they just got behind that line.
You're replacing two NFL guys.
I know. I mean,
two
come on.
first-round NFL guys.
Exactly.
I mean, they were road graders when you watch the film. So, but I'm excited for Morgan because, again, it's something new. Utah football wear the same uniform, same color, everything else, but there'll be a different feel. And I already feel it with the way he approaches media.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a different personality in charge, and you know, the Morgan Scalley era is here.
All right, we'll take a quick break, wrap up this thing, get you ready for JJ and Sly. Sly Sylvester filling in for, Alex and Sly, right? JJ's out. Yeah, my bad. It's Alex and Sly coming up from 3 to 7, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
I sold my car in Carvana last night.
Well, that's cool.
No, you don't understand. It went perfectly. Real offer, down to the penny. They're picking it up tomorrow. Nothing went wrong.
So, what's the problem?
That is the problem. Nothing in my life goes as smoothly. I'm waiting for the catch.
Maybe there's no catch.
That's exactly what a catch would want me to think.
Wow, you need to relax.
I need to knock on wood. Do we have wood? Is this table wood?
I think it's laminate.
Okay, yeah, that's good. That's close enough.
Car selling without a catch. Sell your car today on
Carvana.
Pickup fees may apply.
Breaking down the teams you're passionate about. This is Scotty G and Friends on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, wrapping up another edition of the show. Hopefully your weekend is filled with peanut butter cups and all kinds of goodies, as it is Easter weekend.
Hopefully you're making your way to the Gerards to find some eggs. Hopefully you're doing that.
That has been nipped in the bud and no longer exists.
Oh, what a shame.
So you just bought a new place, Timmy. You got to make sure that in the disclosure that nobody had a Easter egg hunt, an annual Easter egg hunt that you were supposed to host every single year, but you knew nothing about it when you bought the house. But then a couple days before Easter, everybody shows up at your house and be like, hey, you want us to bring the treats? And how many eggs do you have? Do you need us to get some? And we're like, what are you talking about? No, apparently we had to host this big Easter egg hunt where all the kids from the neighborhood.
Because that's how it always was?
And it's how it always was at our place. Nobody told us that until a couple days before.
That actually ceases to exist when you get a new
they're like
homeowner. That's too bad. That's gone.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's the actual person making the decision.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
You would think so, but
it's not like a cartoon where the backyard says, please come and hide your eggs.
Yeah, exactly. Spencer, we love Spencer Nelson. Spencer's a great guy.
Do we?
I love Spencer.
No, I'm just
Nelson.
kidding. I do too.
But there was a couple little secrets that Spencer may not have disclosed that technically, letter of the law, he probably didn't have to disclose.
Did you ever figure out what happened in that one room?
Wait, you bought Spencer's house?
Yeah.
Oh, for heaven's sakes. Did you really?
I did.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Spencer is like all things to all people. And so, yes, he loved having all these kids over to his yard. And then he sold the house to the most opposite person where I want fences that are 10 feet high that have barbed wire on the top of them.
Yeah, I know. You might lose a limb trying to.
You guys forget I try to call you both. I know you don't like people.
Tim, that's not true. I don't know what you're talking about.
Hey, if you ever need to text these guys, just text me and then I'll figure out a way to go get them.
So not true.
It is very true. I have the string to prove it. Sometimes.
I respond. Like,
and then Lloyd,
85% of the time.
I like how Lloyd sent us a text and he goes, I responded.
I'm going to try to change it. I mean, this is development. While I'm with you, I got to change your style.
So anyway, that Easter egg hunt lasted exactly 1 year, and then it was no more. We
you put an end?
We euthanized that bad boy. Yeah. That.
How did you break the news?
That no kids are welcome in our house.
Maybe you should text them all and say, there's an egg somewhere in your yard with a message in it. And then they get the message and it said, no more.
Yeah, no more.
At my place.
It's on this firing, this brown bag that's on your doorstep that's on fire that you need to stomp out. That's our message.
Has there been collateral damage? Are there people that walk by you in the hall and look at you and go, and then look away?
No, in the ecclesiastical services that we attend every week, no. But it is okay. Well, those people don't like being talked to, and that's not the case. My wife is very social. It's me. The problem is me, not her.
Maybe go to a different location this week, just because it's
yeah.
People, you think of you and they think of that.
I mean, it was almost 10 years ago, so I think people have gotten over it, though.
Well, I will go home and back to my new house and check to see if I've signed up for anything.
If you've got a bunch of kids running around your backyard looking for eggs. All right, great job, Timmy. You're the best, man.
Great to be with you, Scotty, and friends, and Lloyd. It was very fun. Thanks.
All right. It is Alex Sly Sylvester coming up next, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
I sold my car in Carvana last night.
Well, that's cool.
No, you don't understand. It went perfectly. Real offer, down to the penny. They're picking it up tomorrow. Nothing went wrong.
So, what's the problem?
That is the problem. Nothing in my life goes as smoothly. I'm waiting for the catch.
Maybe there's no catch.
That's exactly what a catch would want me to think.
Wow, you need to relax.
I need to knock on wood. Do we have wood? Is this table wood?
I think it's laminate.
Okay, yeah, that's good. That's close enough.
Car selling without a catch. Sell your car today on
Carvana.
Pickup fees may apply.
Hey, it's Parker Posey. How did I get here? I love improvisation when it comes to acting, but when it comes to a real-life plan, I stick to a script. Cue the music.
Invest in your story. Get the growth potential of midcaps with MDY from State Street. Getting there starts here. Before investing, consider the fund's investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses. Visit statestreet.com/IM for a prospectus containing this and other information. Read it carefully. MDY is subject to risks similar to those of stocks. All ETFs are subject to risk, including possible loss of principal. Alps Distributors, Inc. Distributor.